Welcome back, Exiles, to Event 26, Elemental Hit Izaro Kill. Yes, Elemental Hit. No, you are not dreaming. Our racers will actually be using Elemental Hit as their main skill, as voted on by you guys. I believe Elemental Hit got around 2,000 votes, getting 50% of the total votes in the community poll. So, casting the event today is world-renowned YouTuber, guide maker, and variety gamer Ziggy D. And joining Ziggy is the Lab King, Don the Crown. However, I believe Ziggy is currently signing some autographs right now. Don the Crown isn't also getting his autograph signed or something, so both of my casters are missing. I actually have no idea where they are. They both told me they were here, but they're not here, so I guess I'll be doing a solo cast right now until they show up. So hopefully they can finish signing their autographs soon enough. You know, I think it's pretty early for Ziggy. Maybe he's drinking his coffee, stuff like that. Oh, I think they might actually be here. Let's see if they are. Good morning, Ziggy. Hello, hello.
G'day, Ziggy here. How's it going?
Ziggy D here. I'm glad to see you. I was worried you and Don the Crown were signing autographs, you know, drinking coffee, just warming up.
Oh man, moving mics around and audio, you know how it is.
Fair enough, fair enough. So, do you guys know the deal today? Elemental Hit, Izaro Kill?
It was going to be Elemental Hit the second I saw that was an option.
Yeah, me too, man. I voted Infernal Blow, I tell you what, but I knew this community are full a bunch of meme lords, and I knew that they were going to vote for Ellie.
Yeah.
So I knew we were having an Ellie hit race.
Exactly. Anyways, I think I'm going to let you guys jump right into it, introduce our players. I think the event starts in 8 minutes, so good luck, guys. Have fun.
Ziggy, you want to lead it off here?
Yeah, who are we starting off with here?
Top left-hand corner, we're going to have Uber Elite, who is a well-known pro. He's known for playing a lot of hardcore and a lot of summoner builds. In the top right, we have Windz, who is known for Magma Orb mostly. And then the bottom left, we have Bergerbrush, who is a newer Path of Exile streamer, one of the most recent partners. And the bottom, Ventrua, who I totally don't know how to say his name correctly.
We'll figure it out during the course of the race, eh, mate?
It can't be as hard as like a Declaro one or something, you know?
So potentially a new up-and-comer here with Bergerbrush. I don't think I've seen Berger race at all yet. This is his first race.
There's second race. He was in the race against DC Laura 1 and Paul's and the one that Baylor Mage won. So he is pretty decent. He did pretty well. I believe he got second place. And so I think the Elemental Hit, though, is going to be very difficult for the racers because Elemental Hit itself is pretty shite. So have you gotten a chance to play Elemental Hit at all?
Man, I've participated and engaged in the memes like anyone else, and I've played a little bit of Ellie Hit. It is basically a glorified auto attack. So we're basically going to see people running around auto attacking here. I assume we're going to be seeing mostly rangers.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because I know that not every class does get Ellie Hit, but like Ranger might be Templar, just a couple options. It may have just broken. I'm not 100% certain. I hear you anymore. I believe we do have a poll going right now for who is going to win the race. I think probably the most important part would be asking who's going to be able to complete the race. Elemental Hit, not very good. I know that some of the racers were practicing, were able to get like a 30-minute Brutus time. So that is definitely not what we're used to in terms of time. Would be pretty horrible. Looks like not all of our racers are aware that we're starting here in 5 minutes. Bergerbrush still on another game. Windz thinking that he's going to play a full game of PUBG. Going to camp it out and yeah, he's going to see if he can camp a bush. He's
Alright, so I'll jump in until Ziggy fixes his mic. Actually, I have an update on Bergerbrush. He didn't know he was playing. He thought he was a backup for this event, but I think many of the other potential racers, they got wind that it might be an elemental hit race, and they're like, you know what? I don't really want to participate. So I just sent him a message like 5 minutes beforehand. It's like, hey, you know your race is in 5 minutes. He's like, wait, what? And so he's kind of like going last minute now, trying to get ready. But I think he's gonna do a good job. I'm excited.
Interesting. I believe like his timer wouldn't start until he actually starts the race.
Exactly.
Correct?
Yeah. And it's not a super competitive race. Like people may be competitive, but I think we're all just here to see people play with Elliot and see if they can actually finish the race. You know, the racing against themselves and against the goal of just actually killing Izaro, not necessarily each other.
A challenge for sure, and that's one of the great things that I do like about Path of Exile is that you can create challenges inside of it. I know some people decide to play solo self-found, by the way, and just adds a little bit of the extra spice to the game for you.
Exactly. I'm just linking Burger to the timer right now. I'm gonna let you continue commentating while I provide him some technical support. So have at it.
Looks like we have everybody in town right now besides Bergerbrush, as we heard before what his situation is. And we have some people looking for movement speed boots. And looks like everybody's going to be sticking with bow. None of these are going to be muling anything. And I believe everybody's picking up Elemental Hit. And looks like Uber's the first one out the gate, out of town, probably heading towards the Tidal Island right now. Looking like he's got an okay layout. Switching on over to a duelist. It looks like the same is going to happen here for Ventrua. So maybe they're looking for some sort of gem mule. I'm not necessarily sure exactly what the strategy is here for this. Maybe they're going to do duelist elemental hit. That could be interesting as well. Because I don't believe duelists normally do start off with elemental hit, so they would have to mule the skill.
I'm actually not too sure which classes get LE hit. That is a good question. Do you know which ones get it?
I believe it's Templar, Shadow, Ranger, Scion, if I recall correctly.
Okay. So I see a lot of people in chat saying Templar is the secret OP for elemental hit. Do you have any idea why they're thinking that?
I think I was doing a little bit of a race testing with this. I think Templar actually could be the secret OP because you can kind of use bows. You don't get lesser multiple projectiles, which is an issue, but you get so much elemental damage scaling right off the Templar. And there's just a lot of options for damage there because elemental hit's a little bit difficult because if you try to scale any of the specific elements, then you're not really scaling elemental hit perfectly.
That makes sense, but like on duelist or ranger, you can go like all attack speed and projectile damage, and that scales the whole thing. So I wouldn't say Templar's in the lead. And like after you get your 2 LE nodes, where do you go next? Melee damage and something else? Like,
around the outside and get like you're rather close to a dex node then, and you can go through the elemental damage with weapons and like to that outside big wheel that's like all the elemental damage stuff. It gives you penetration and other things.
Better late than never. Ziggy arrives. Mic working now?
Yeah, it's working.
Yes,
loud and clear, and sounds good. Let's get.
My God.
It's all good. It happens.
Yep. Oh, welcome back, guys. Welcome back, me. How's the race going so far?
Uber Elite just picking up his Quicksilver right now. It looks like both guys on the right-hand side are working their way with bows towards getting a Quicksilver flask and or skipping Quicksilver, it looks like in Ventura's case.
We're seeing some really juicy clear speed here with this single target LE hit action going up in the top right from Windz. Loving it.
Like you said, basically a glorified auto attack with some extra damage on it. But looks like, I believe, I have it linked to Pierce right now, which will allow him to hit more than one thing at a time with it, which I think is rather important.
That's a massive boost to your clear speed. You can potentially hit 2 targets that are lined up in a row with that single projectile. It's going to be absolutely massive. I hope that they're all using Pierce. I'm seeing Pierce on all the icons, so I think that's going to be essential.
Like almost doubling your damage if you can aim. So very, very overpowered. GGG might have to look into this particular combination as it is doubling their damage.
Note that newly reworked Pierce as well is a guaranteed Pierce, not a percentage chance. If we had been doing this last year, then we would have been seeing, sometimes the projectile not piercing through, and that would have been devastating.
Yeah, and looks like Windz and Ventrua are both in the title passage right now, working their way through. Doesn't look like either of these two guys, as duelists, decided to go for Quicksilver Flasks. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I would think that Quicksilver Flask, well, it's going to take a long time to kill Hailrake, I guess. That's kind of, I guess, maybe their thinking. With Ellie hit, it's going to take way too long. However, this is a pretty long race, and running through Labyrinth with a Quicksilver is going to be a big help. Maybe they're just hoping for that lucky drop.
I definitely think that Quicksilver would be very helpful. I've noticed that when I was playtesting this, that you end up getting surrounded very quickly because you're used to killing 4 to 5 things at a time. Instead, you're only killing 1, maybe 2, if you're lucky. And so very sketchy situations can occur very quickly.
Yeah, having that burst of speed to get out of danger is going to be a big help. What do we have in terms of rulings for death penalties on this?
I don't even know if there is any death penalties for this. I believe it's Havoc is saying 1 minute.
1 minute, sweet. So a decent little death penalty, but in the scheme of things for this, 1 minute might not be too big a deal. But we've seen races come down to those little penalties in the past, so we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I'm feeling that most of these racers are going to be extremely pleased if they even make it to Labyrinth in time, let alone if they get penalized, though. We won't worry about it too much.
Yeah, are we just going to go until someone gets their first Izaro kill? Because I know we've got a 2-hour limit on this race, but I don't know, man. I don't know if we're going to make it in time.
2-hour vault over soul kill, maybe.
Yep, all right. We'll call an arbitrary point of victory if we don't make it.
If we might end up going over. It kind of depends on some things. We'll see how it is if we get to 2 hours and they're not even close yet.
Well, I've blocked out my entire day until 8 p.m. this evening. It's 9:30 a.m. right here. I was ready for this race. I'm prepared. I knew exactly what was coming. So my entire day is free and open for this race because I think it just might take that long. And I just want to say, community, you asked for this.
But Ziggy, do you really believe that these guys can beat Izaro in 10 hours? Like, are you sure you have allotted enough time for this race?
I think they could do the Izaro fight within 10 hours, but there's also getting there in the first place, which is going to be the challenge.
Single target for elemental hit is actually pretty good. So,
yeah, I'm memeing a little bit. That's the one thing that it might do okay, is fighting bosses. But this close speed.
Definitely getting through the tons of white mobs that are going to be in its way. It's going to be very difficult for all of these players.
How do we feel about this siege ballista use? I'm feeling this is highly unethical and not in the spirit of the race at all. We're seeing 2 races picking up the siege ballista, and I mean, I guess there was no specific ruling against it, but I mean, how is the community going to feel about this?
It looks like Uber Elite wanted a siege ballista ban, but not all of the players agreed to it. So he is definitely using the ballista to full advantage, and doesn't look like everybody's got heads up of that. So. But Bergerbrush, although he might not have been prepared for the race, is the only racer right now, I believe there's actually one other racer, that has movement speed boots. Yeah, he's dealing with movement speed boots, so he's definitely got a big advantage here. And even though he looks like he's a little bit behind, but he's actually pretty dang close because he started later than everybody else.
Yeah, that's definitely going to help in the catch-up. He did start a little bit later, so his timer is a little bit behind some of the other guys, so... might actually be doing a little better. It's a bit hard, can be a bit hard to judge.
Is going to be the first person to fall to RNGesus. End up dying here.
Think we'll be seeing any Kaduku kills here? I mean, yeah.
I think that really hinders your RNG moving forward if you kill Kaduku.
See, I'm of the mind that killing Kaduku releases his sequestered RNG back into the atmosphere for you to take advantage of. That's my cult of Kaduku, at least.
Okay, I believe that's more of a Baptist viewpoint of that. I'm definitely more of the following that you just don't touch Kaduku, you leave him alone, and especially if he gives you a 6 link, you just leave the uniques on the ground and he eats them as the map disintegrates.
Deep meta discussion of the Kaduku religions here. Perfect.
Looks like most of our players are on the ledge right now, but looks like Uber Elite is going to be the first one to the climb. And he's level 6. Lots of experience coming in. What type of support gems are you expecting to see once these players make it to the prison?
I mean, I think we're going to see some Pierce, Onslaught, LMP, and I pretty much don't think you have much else choice in that. I mean, maybe we'll see a little bit of damage swaps for some of the boss kills, but if they want to have any sort of clear speed, that's the sort of setup they're going to have to use.
Probably only get 2 support gems, so it's kind of like, do you have Pierce and LMP, or do you use Onslaught there? It's definitely going to be an interesting choice and see how that affects the different racers. They're all the same color, so it's not going to be like, someone didn't get triple green, but it'll be interesting to see what these players decide to go with. Those, Siege Ballista right now, it looks like Ventrua does have it hooked up to Pierce, so he is, making full use of that Siege Ballista. Bergerbrush, still no Siege Ballista, also using Pierce. Mostly everybody's using Pierce.
Yeah, definitely the way to go for now. You don't lose any damage, and just that little bit of AoE.
Having this type of race where the players are limited to a specific skill gem and aren't necessarily able to have everything. I know some GGG races do have kind of special mods on them, but I don't think they've ever ran a only able to use certain skill gems race, have they?
Yeah, that's definitely something that's been pioneered by these Havoc race events, is having these sorts of limitations on playstyles, which has been pretty interesting because we've seen some really interesting races kind of arrive out of that, and we've never seen GGG run races with like a fully twinked out character versus a team of untwinked pros. So we have been seeing some unique stuff here that GGG hasn't done. So it's pretty cool. It's been pretty cool.
We've talked about in the past adding custom leagues, but do you have any sort of insight or thoughts on what they might add moving forward?
Oh, mate, I cannot wait for that custom league action. I know it's still potentially on the cards, so I'm really hoping that that's some support that happens in the future, because I would love to see that in some spectator mode as well, so that we can get some nice commentary of some custom league action, because we can do this sort of thing in addition to adding extra challenges to the actual game itself. I would love to see that.
Definitely be really awesome to have like a actual community race where everybody is able to participate and we're able to just go through and cast the top racers. Looks like we have to have Uber Elite coming up to the first trial of Ascendancy right now. He went back to town, got lesser multiple projectiles, added cold, and a large life flask. Lots of materials.
Yeah, he's definitely getting himself set up. He was having a very smooth run for these lab traps, but then actually dies. Oh no! He was going so well. That's +1 to the death penalty for Uber. Ouch.
1 minute for sure there. Actually, haven't seen that yet, so I will have to see that here in a second. I'm not sure what's going on with the Twitch thing today.
I'd have to give those streams a bit of a reset, but whew, that death though.
Seem like really prepared, really ready for this particular race, but I wonder if that's going to kind of put him on tilt here a little bit.
He looked like he was having a bit of a smile and a chuckle. I think he's okay.
He'll be able to bounce back from that really quickly. Looks like Windz, did he skip the trial? I didn't see him do that. He's going to upper prison directly.
We might see some people coming back for the trials before Labyrinth, and at that point you might potentially have a bit more move speed or a second quicksaw or something to make it a bit faster. Well, that blink arrow makes things a lot faster as well, though I'm a fan of doing that prison trial right as you go past it. I feel like that's a nice one to kind of check off.
I believe, like for me at least, like unless I don't find the prison trial and I find upper prison first, I will always try to do it. But
yeah, that's
it looks like everybody does get the blink arrow gem once they complete the Caged Brute quest, so everybody will be able to go back and do that with a little bit more ease.
Yeah, and that's the question. Do you come back and do a faster trial later on? And I mean, well, I'm a fan of doing it as you run past, but Uber definitely suffered the consequences of not having not being fully prepared for that trial.
Trial of those spikes can do a lot of damage, and if you aren't really ready for that damage to come in, and with that life flask ready to go, dying is very, very easy. Uber did get a very lucky layout, though. He's on his way to Brutus right now. It's going to be the first one there. Like, I think the single target for Brutus is going to be really solid, though. Like, better than a lot of the other builds that we see, but probably not as good as a Molten Strike type build.
We're seeing Brutus go down very quickly here. I mean, that Siege Ballista plus the Elemental hit, he's reasonably well set up. He just put on a chest piece as well, so it's helping a lot with his mitigation here. And he's got that large life flask, so it seems to be going pretty smoothly. He's almost got him down.
You're a ranged character, like, you don't have to worry about like tanking as much damage directly from Brutus, but that hook can like mess up your whole day.
Yeah, potentially avoiding a stun from that can be a big help. A little low, he's having to dance around a bit at the end, but ends up pulling it off. Doesn't get too much gear dropping from him though, not a big help. Those nice drops from Brutus can be a big help.
He did get a yellow chest, so hopefully that does help him out. Windz also heading into Brutus right now, and we'll see how he does. He's playing a different class, the Duelist, so definitely a little bit different. Dips really low after taking a slam.
Yeah, the difference between the Duelist and Ranger could be a little interesting here. You end up with a little bit like going through the attack speed and the life nodes, or just going through the projectile damage nodes, but not as strong as the initial damage nodes that the Ranger has.
I almost feel like the attack speed is going to be stronger, though, because Elemental Hit does, it's basically a single target skill, and being able to...
Hold up. What is going on Windz stream right now? We're seeing weapon swaps for War Chief totems. This is highly, highly unethical, but we didn't have a totem ban, so technically allowed.
Yeah, the Ancestral Protector totem, and he is meleeing with Elemental Hit, so playing it a little bit, close to the chest here.
Exactly. I'm loving this, you know what? As unethical as that totem usage is, we are still seeing melee Ellie hit, and I am very pleased to see that. And it went pretty quickly. I think that was quicker than Uber's skill.
I don't know. I think that the bow is definitely the way to go there. But either way, you're going to end up like tanking a lot of damage, because once those ads come out, it's going to be very difficult to deal with them.
I give him points for style at least.
I also like that nobody's using Fire Trap. We'll see Ventrura's skill is going very smooth as well. And he also did the weapon swap into melee.
The AoE from Fire Trap would definitely be cheating. I think we've allowed the totems. I think allowing actual spells, basically, would be too far. This is an Ellie hit race. We must maintain its purity.
I agree with that. Not allowed to use skills like that. That would really give you an advantage. Uber Elite working his way towards Merveil right now. Windz just finishing up shopping as well, heading towards Merveil. Same thing with Ventrua. Bergerbrush almost on his way to get to Brutus right now.
I've seen some LMP totem action from Uber, and that's definitely helping his clear speed a lot.
Yeah, that is pretty smart. Using the LMP on the totem.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably mostly just going to be relying on that for clear speed at this point, and using his Ellie hit for single target, which is probably a pretty wise choice. I just want to thank the streamers and, well, ourselves really, and myself. I'm patting myself on the back for taking one for the team here, getting this Ellie hit race out of the way so that the community can never want to see this again.
Perhaps GGG might, in response to this, buff Elemental Hit, so much so that we have to have an additional race where to try it out, to test it out with a new setup.
Maybe they just merge Ellie hit and that other skill, that Ellie hit Wild Strike, and allow it to work with bows, and then we might see some interesting stuff here. I mean, that would actually be pretty dope.
Yeah, I feel like Uber Elite is actually playing Siege Ballista right now with Elemental Hit on the side, and I don't really like it.
I think he's playing a Siege Ballista Blink Arrow build, and the Ellie hit is just a support skill. So yeah, I agree. Highly, highly unethical.
Well, we should probably ban that skill the next time we run an Ellie hit race.
What I'm really liking seeing here is from Ventrua, we're seeing much more Ellie hit melee splash action. I'm so pleased. He started out with the bows, but swapped over to that melee action. Looks like he's got a decent little sword there. And look at him, she's shredding packs. Way more AoE than the bow setups, even than the LMP totem. I could see this working out very nicely.
Yeah, that is actually very impressive, and he's got the leap slam going now. Duelist, always known for tearing through maps with that. Bergerbrush is also on Brutus right now. He looks like he did find out about the totem action and is using that to kill Brutus as well.
Nice. It's going to be a big help for him. Nice to see kind of everyone at least on the even footing in terms of, just, cheating so heavily in this race.
Definitely. I'm liking Ventrua right now. He's not cheating. He's using elemental hit primarily. The ancestral protector totem is helping out a little bit, but just elemental melee hit. I feel like we should almost give him bonus time.
Yeah, I think that's the most pure kind of use of Ellie hit we're seeing here, because I think he's just using the totem for the, for the support, just to distract enemies while he goes ham with the Ellie hit. So loving seeing this, and it seems to be actually working quite well for him. Who knows? New racing meta potentially.
Sunder, get out of the way. Here comes melee splash, elemental hit. I'm not sure that's going to happen just yet, but could be.
I mean, let's talk about the positives of Ellie hit for a while. We bash on this skill as being a glorified auto attack, and well, it is, but just think about the fact that it allows you to have much easier gearing because of that added flat damage. Means that your weapon matters a lot less than in the past. I mean, probably not as much as using Sunder, but that helps. That helps.
It's definitely very true. With essences, though, I feel that leveling, you don't necessarily need to worry about getting weapons as much as you used to when leveling, because you can run across an essence and use that to make your weapon good, or use the rustic sash recipe. If you don't get a good essence for that, you can essence a rustic sash and then use the vendor recipe to make a good weapon.
Love it. I hope we see some kind of interesting division and tactics here. I'm loving how things are dividing up now. We're seeing a bit of mixture of ranged and melee play. I'm pleased.
Windz has actually gone dual wield right now, and is also going to be doing melee, so should be interesting for sure. These two duelists both coming out with the melee, and we both have both rangers using bows, obviously.
And I'm seeing, like, looking at Uber kind of slowly chipping away at those packs with the LMP and with the with the single projectile of Ellie hit. I'm seeing that the melee splash action is definitely working a lot nicer. You got a much kind of more consistent AoE, hitting a lot more enemies.
Yeah, it definitely feels like he is doing like less damage with his elemental hit than everybody else, and that his totem is primarily carrying him. Hit with a wand, some people were asking in chat, and I believe you can. Some people getting very close to Mervale here pretty soon. Do you think that moving into Act 2 that these duelists with their melee elemental hit are going to have some sort of advantage, or going to start pulling ahead of Uber? Because it looks like they are catching up to him.
I think that Uber's probably going to have a little bit of a nicer time on Mervale here. Unless the melee guys get some decent Ellie resists, they're going to have a bit of a harder time. That said, Uber just gets shredded by an entire barrage of the ice damage. So,
definitely
a little rough.
Like that sushi right in his face, so not a good start. One of the things that will be interesting too to see if for the melee guys, if they decide to go with scepters as weapons, because they do get the elemental damage scaling on that, which would allow them to kind of almost like double dip in terms of itemization there.
Well, I like the thinking though. Typically the scepter's a little slower than some of the swords and things you can get, so they might just kind of go for the speed instead, perhaps. First form for Mervale goes down for Uber. Not too bad, apart from that one near miss. Second form should be a lot easier for him.
Yeah, the second form of Mervale definitely a lot less rippy, a lot less likely to get you killed.
Especially as ranged, where you can pick a position in between the jets and have a much better time. Whereas if you're playing melee and she decides to sit right on top of one of those water jets, it can be a little bit more difficult.
It's being right on her is really annoying, and it can be extremely rippy. But generally, you just worry more about running out of mana in this fight. And Uber takes her down. Yellow boots, so we'll see what he gets out of that.
Uber ends up with the rare scepter. The melee players wishing they got that. We'll see how they go. Second form for Ventrua here. And he's been going through this pretty smoothly, just right on top. He's got a claw in his offhand, which gives him that life gain on hit as well. So helping him just kind of stand in there and just keep wailing away with the early hit. Though unlike Sunder, you do need 2 decent weapons if you want to really dual wield and take advantage of that. His main hand weapon, not that good.
Yeah, getting 2 weapons during a race can be very difficult. I know that something I had to deal with the cleave race, and just getting 2 weapons all over the time, much harder than with Sunder, where you only have to worry about your main hand. All he's using does have fire and lightning damage on it, so he'll probably keep on to that for a while.
That's a pretty solid claw right there.
And we already have Merveil down. That is actually a pretty decent time compared to some of the amateur races that we see. This is right on time with a lot of those times.
Seeing some of these experienced racers kind of take the elemental hit skill and push it to the limit.
They're walking along the razor's edge, if you would. And we have Windz going into Merveil, Phase 1, Uber Elite in Act 2 Town, and Ventrura's working his way there.
26 minutes into this, we could see another half hour or so for this act here, maybe a little bit longer. And I don't know, maybe we could be making it to an Izaro kill in this race. Whew.
I'm actually quite surprised with how the racers are doing so far. I feel like most of the most difficult and time-consuming parts of this act are the bandits. There's lots of single target boss fights where the elemental hit is really going to shine. So we'll see. It might actually be pretty decent. Being very low in Phase 2, like we talked about with those pillars, can be very dangerous if they're located next to each other. Uber Elite, both him and Ventrua working through Act 2. Ventrua actually going west first, and I believe he just has a rare scepter, so maybe using that scepter technology that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, we're seeing a tough time for the melee Merveil kill from Windz, as we were talking about. She's just standing on those pillars and doing those screeches constantly. Had a really tough time, but eventually gets her down.
Just pick up a pretty nicely rolled scepter. I'm waiting for the items to refresh here, but I believe it had physical on it, so pretty decent.
So I'll have to take a look at that.
Fighting an essence mob right now, kiting it all over the place. Lots of mobs in the way of the elemental hit, taking lots of damage, but looks like it's a hatred essence, which will be very good for crafting a weapon or a belt or something for him.
Yeah, definitely. We could see another bow craft here. He might hold on to that for the next tier of bow, though, maybe.
To hold on for a higher tier up in case you get screwed on weapons.
Yeah, whenever it comes to that sort of craft, you also kind of want to do that last possible moment too. Unless you have something you can immediately make a solid impact with. Otherwise, if you craft something ahead of time, then you're always going to get that drop that replaces it pretty much straight away. Wasted resources.
People that are using the bows, but for the racers that are using kind of dual wield, if you would, having an okay weapon to kind of be your number 2 is kind of an okay thing to have. The essence of hatred, for example, though, putting it on a belt, especially in the spot that Bergerbrush is in right now, would be okay, because going into the Merveil fight, the extra cold res would be helpful, and then you can use that rare belt on a rustic sash to craft yourself a good physical bow later on. So it might be something he might end up doing.
Yeah, for sure. That's a really good point. I tend to opt for either the move speed boots when I'm crafting things, or the damage slots, the gloves, the quiver, the bow, and the jewelry as much as possible. But the belt definitely has that kind of multi uses there, so not a bad strategy.
Yeah, I always feel really bad when I use an essence on boots and they don't land move speed. It's oh my gosh, I could have used that on anything else, and I'll probably end up replacing, even if they're amazing, with a 10% move speed boot. So something I don't like risking for myself.
Yeah, you just can't get nice boots with no move speed in racing.
Yeah, it's unless you're doing a leap slam, and then it's totally fine.
That's true. We're seeing 2 of those.
times going on the Windz screen right now. Uber Elite working his way through Chamber of Sins 2, I believe, looking for the second trial.
Despite being a little slower on the clear speed, like in terms of killing mobs and getting that XP, Uber is definitely powering through. He's got a nice little lead on Windz here.
Definitely does. Bergerbrush is currently working on Merveil, phase 1, and looks like Uber Elite is working his way towards the trial as well. Will be interesting to see if these two duelists are able to leap slam their way to catch up with them. Ziggy, I'm not sure if your microphone just died again, but
testing. Hopefully not. I'm guessing that's a dead mic.
I can hear you, Ziggy.
Oh, good. Sweet. Just Discord being Discord. Wonderful.
This race brought to you by Discord.
Oh no, they're sponsors? Oh.
Remember, guys, think positive, think cute dog. Anyways, looks like Uber Elite very easily making his way through the second trial, not getting cut to death, and Bergerbrush getting into phase 2 Merveil.
I saw some beautiful blinks from Uber there, where he was trying to blink over the saws, and while the blink animation was playing, the saws proceeded to saw through his legs. It was very, very nicely timed blink arrows there.
Do you think that maybe, because like I'm not sure if Uber is like used to playing a bow character, that he might have gotten some tips from Noogie? Like I hear Noogie's very instrumental with a bow and has been able to perform very well with them.
Do we know if any of these guys took the opportunity to practice for Ellie Hit? It was not revealed, I don't believe, until like the last moment, but everybody knew it was going to be Ellie Hit. So do you think these guys are putting in any practice?
I believe that Windz did put in some practice and it didn't go very well. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys do pull it out. I really would love to see some people really get into the lab and really give it a couple tries. We have seen, like, even on good skills like Sunder, racers dying in the lab left and right. Do you think that people will be like really treating the lab with respect and hitting all of the trinkets and getting all of the dark shrines today?
I don't know. Like, I think it depends on what is rolling in lab today. I haven't had a look at the PoE labs for normal lab today, but it's not usually a PoE labs I look at. But depending on what rolls, you know, some of these guys playing bows maybe might have trouble if there's portals because of the number of ads, and having to deal with that could be actually a problem. So maybe we see. But I don't know.
Today's lab does have portals. It's conduits portals with dual swords.
Conduits and portals, okay. All right. Dual swords is a little nasty, though. That sweeping attack is brutal. It could be pretty interesting.
Definite Riven Windz slash can end any racer's dreams if it crits you. So definitely something the racers are going to have to watch out for. Do you think that the duelists might have an advantage because they might bring a decoy totem to the fight?
I think we'll probably see him sticking with that, you know, the actual damage dealing totem to try and get as much damage out as possible. But it can definitely decoy some hits as well. Whereas the Siege Ballista is probably going to be placed a little further away and is a bit less likely to distract any sort of melee attacks or anything. So we'll see. Depends on how good their totem placement is, I think.
Have a interesting thought here from chat is that the lab does reset in 56 minutes. So nearly at the end of the race, the lab will reset. So there's a potential that, you know, a racer might die in the lab and then be running through a brand new, undiscovered lab, not knowing what to expect.
That is exciting. Yes, it means depending what times these guys go through, we could have some different lab layouts and different encounters as well. That's an exciting twist. I like it.
That would be very interesting to see, and very unfortunate. I feel like I'm not sure how I feel about the timing of that. For some races, like a Sunday race or something like that, having the lab reset 45 minutes after the start could make it very interesting. But for these guys, they needed every advantage they could possibly get. So you're putting themselves in a very hard situation.
And I think for us watching this Ellie Hit race, we're going to need every little bit of added excitement we can get.
Very true. Very true. I would love to see somebody get a I can't die or take any damage Dark Shrine in the lab and take it home for the victory with the elemental hit. I think that would be the best.
I mean, that would be beautiful. You're not really going to be searching for the Dark Shrines, but if you'll see one of those little ones on the map, which you can definitely see those things, then popping in to grab it just in case could well be worth it.
And with the changes to the lab, Dark Shrines are always positive now. So, getting a Dark Shrine can be good. They're only able to get one buff shrine. So, like, once you get that first buff shrine, looking for any other Dark Shrines, not really going to help you in anything except for the loot department.
Yeah, and that loot at the end of the lab is, while tempting, not really going to help too much in this race.
These, I believe they're all playing on Harbinger solo self-found. So maybe if they're deciding to play solo self-found, by the way, after the race, that they might actually want some additional loot. It could help them out.
Take that over to the other solo self-found characters. You never know. You never know. We're seeing Ventrua kind of pushing forward ahead of Windz. He got that Fidelitas kill. A good amount of time before Windz. Windz going pretty low on Fidelitas as well.
None of the racers are using any sort of resist ring except for Uber, who does have a lightning resist topaz. But I believe Berger's actually got 2 life rings compared to, I believe, Windz with just 1 and an iron ring, and then Ventrua with 2 iron rings. Do you think these iron rings might be pulling ahead, or is it just the fact that he's got some pretty decent weapons?
Yeah, we're seeing a really nice scepter for Ventrua, and I think that's helping him a lot. The axe is okay, but those iron rings definitely going to help. We're seeing like Berger, for example, just running the 2 and I think at this point you need that damage.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Berger picks for passives. I'm not sure if he's actually ready for this particular race, so he might be a little bit lost in terms of the passive tree. There's a lot of physical damage near the ranger, but not a lot of elemental.
He's getting another essence here if he can work through these packs defending it. Slowly chipping away with that LE hit. I don't think he has that LMP totem quite like Uber has, which has been working out very nicely for him. Speaking of, Uber on Spider now.
Lots of Spider action.
Yeah, it seems to be going pretty well. Gets into that second phase, no worries.
When you're doing Spider, do you do any sort of special strategy, or do you just kind of fight her in the middle of the room?
Nah, pretty much just chuck her in the middle and try and get those things prepared for when she comes down for that second form. Not too much else you can do that I know of, but if you have any secret tactics, let me know.
So one of the things I like to do is just fight her in that top right-hand corner, and I find a lot of the ads that do come along with her don't pop up as long as you don't leave that little, and so you don't have to deal with them.
Yeah, absolutely. The fight tends to gravitate up in that direction, whereas we did see Uber pulling it down to the bottom left there. That little top corner pocket is a nice spot to fight her. Good point.
Back in Act 1, he just picked up another elemental hit gem. Do you think he might be setting up a ranged attack totem or some sort of second weapon swap?
If he goes Ellie hit rat, I am going to be so pleased. That will be the most ethical move, and he will win the race in my heart for sure.
Ellie rat would be really nice to see. So let's talk about some of the other options that the racers could have had to race with. What were you excited to see? And I think some of the other things were a Glacial Hammer, Infernal Blow.
Personally, I was excited for that Infernal Blow action. That is what I voted for, and it's what all true Path of Exile community players should have voted for. But, no judgment. Here we are with an Ellie hit race, picking things slowly apart with single target Ellie hit and such. But we could have been seeing, packs exploding to melee splash Infernal Blow. But that's fine. That's fine. Okay, it's fine.
Who do you think's to blame then for the elemental hit? Do you think it might be Reddit's fault? Diablo 3 community coming on over and ruining the results of the...
Yeah, I, as much as I would love to work some D3 versus PoE hate in here, I just think that at this point, the meme that is Ellie hit is so ingrained into every fiber of the PoE community's beings that the only way to get it out is through repeatedly running races like this for an entire season. I want to see 10 to 20 Ellie hit races until the meme is dead. Then I think that's the only way to cure us of this affliction.
Okay, so like maybe next time you're at the GGG headquarters, you might want to mention to them that like a elemental hit only league might be the way to go to really clear the air with the elemental hit issues. Wind's dipping very low here on Caitlyn,
Yeah.
running around in circles. That melee elemental hit definitely vulnerable to taking lots of damage from ranged.
Yeah, we're going to see some sketchy plays there, and that could end up being the equalizing factor, although they're clearing packs faster with that melee splash. You know, if a couple deaths could throw him behind. Though, as to my count right now, Uber's the only one with a death, that unfortunate trap death. There's still plenty of time.
Still plenty of time. We've definitely seen lots of racers do very well, make it to the lab even, and then rack up 7, 8. I think Mr. Llama holds the record, I believe, with 10 deaths in the lab. So definitely, we've seen a lot of people move very quickly through the map, only to die lots of times.
Yep, a few unfortunate deaths. One death in lab could put you on tilt, let alone a few. So we'll see how things kind of shake out there. I feel like a lot of this is just kind of warming up for that. And I think the lab is going to be the real deciding factor, because even someone getting into lab 5 minutes early, it could all go awry pretty easily.
I know some racers have been practicing doing Uber Lab like as early as possible, like level 23, not Uber Lab, normal lab. What level do you expect to see racers heading into lab in this particular race?
Well, they're going to be picking their way through kind of slowly, but that said, these guys playing Leap Slam are jumping through pretty fast and not killing as much as you would be with Sunder, so I think they're going to be a little under-leveled, if anything. I'm curious to see even if we're going to see people going to slow down a little bit and try and kill some more, because we are seeing a lot of skipping of mobs that you wouldn't normally be skipping.
Definitely seeing Windz leaping his way through the spider cave right now. I believe both Ventrua and Uber Elite are level 16, and I think Windz just hit 15 right now.
Yeah, when you're racing, you get used to going at a certain pace, because you can keep your XP up as long as you kill like kind of a regular amount, and with those more effective skills, that can be pretty easy to maintain, but they're going to have to be pretty conscious of the fact that they're not moving through too quickly and not killing enough. Getting an essence for Windz here.
And nice essence for Windz. They do have the advantage that Elemental Hit is a nice single target skill, so that might give them some sort of advantage.
Yeah, it's going to come down to, I think, play skill a lot in the lab against Izaro, because they're not going to have too much survivability from levels and gear, I don't think.
I wouldn't think either. See, Windz is up in that corner that we were talking about before, and so like when you're up here, like it looks like he does aggro the other ads, but if you just stay up in that top corner, you don't have to worry about any of the other stuff coming down for you.
Yeah, true, good point. Nice little strategy there. The Weaver does go down very nicely for him, though. Ends up getting a rare bow. Not quite what he wants. Still picking it up.
His prize still wants to vendor it.
Really wanted that rare bow.
On Oak right now. Are we expecting to see all these racers take the 2 skill points, or?
Well, usually not killing Oak is the way to go in terms of speed, because he can be the longest to kill. Though that said, when he's popping his Immortal Call, he is still vulnerable to elemental damage, so early hit could actually be an excellent Oak killer.
Uber Elite just had to leave the Oak Arena, which means he's going to be reset and have to start again.
He actually has to reset that zone there. He's trying to talk to him, realizing what's going on. He's like, oh no.
Looks like for some reason the whole zone has to be reset. That is really bad.
Yeah, most unusual. You can see the puzzlement on his face there. That is a bit unfortunate.
His face is definitely confused.
Realize on this day he is screwed up.
Looking over at chat, reading, seeing what's going on, and realizing he's going to have to reset the whole zone, face with horror. But thankfully, this zone is rather easy to find Oak if you have the waypoint, because it's typically the waypoint that's the hard place to find. So,
yeah, he's not going to lose too much time there, but it was that kind of little lead, I think, that was keeping him going here. And I just don't think he has that same clear speed as the Leap Slam boys, so it could well throw him off here.
Yeah, the first Leap Slam boy, Ventrua, is working his way right now through the Vault Ruins, looking for the Shadow Ball, level 17, leading the race in terms of experience. I believe he's also leading the race in terms of just ground cleared, and that's only going to continue, because with that Leap Slam, you are going to be moving very quickly, and soon enough, he'll be coming up with that faster attacks Leap Slam. and it's just going to keep on moving fast.
Blink Arrow is really nice in Lab. You can skip a lot of traps with it very easily, but it's just not as fast as Leap Slam though. So we're going to see that become a big advantage later on.
Gear looks like Ventrua actually has some like a nice chest. He has some other like 2 rare weapons. His belt has life and lightning res on it, so generally some okay gear coming out of Ventrua. In terms of the other gear on the other racers, Windz is wearing a white chest, a yellow hat that doesn't really provide him with much at all besides maybe some dexterity. So definitely I think Ventrua in the lead in terms of gear as well.
Yeah, Ventura's gear is a lot better, and he's even got those damage life resist gloves as well, double damage rolls. They're 1 to 2 each, but you know, still. Okay, we are seeing Oak go down, not skipping Oak as I anticipated, going for that Ellie hit damage for the Oak kill. As long as he pops out Immortal Call, he takes full damage from the Ellie hit. It's only those endurance charges that give him the resistances.
Yeah, definitely easy to get through the Immortal Call with the Elemental hit because you are doing elemental damage. So thankfully, he's able to complete the Oak fight this time without having to teleport out.
Yeah, went a lot better this time. Not getting stuck, not getting his game soft locked right there. Become that weapon Ellie damage. Get a socket for that, it could be pretty juicy.
I think weapon elemental damage would be really nice. I think there are a lot of gems that you would want to support Ellie hit with, but unfortunately you don't really get a lot of links in these races. Like getting a 3 link is pretty common, but even getting a 4 link, very difficult.
Yeah, tough to do unless you spend several hours farming Harbinger mobs for one of those binding orbs. Otherwise, it's going to be a little difficult.
Speaking of Harbinger, we do see that Windz is using the Harbinger aura and does take the Alira resistances. How do you feel about him using the Harbinger aura, knowing that it does slow down the movement speed of your character with boredom?
With boredom. You know what? I find the Harbinger effects to be extremely exciting. I love how goofy they are. They look so ridiculous. And I think that, you know, when you're in the harsh world of Raycast, which can be quite depressing, you know, there's like cannibals and death and decay and all that jazz. Just having something a little bit cheery, like a party hat, can really, I think, help out. So it's just combating the character depression there, I believe. And I think I think it could work out well for him.
+5 to morale, assuming that you had a good childhood with Crayola crayons, and that might help your character in the long run.
You know, I've been playing a lot of Total War recently, and morale is absolutely crucial in a fight. You do not want your character fleeing mid-combat. That is, that can really kind of screw you up. So morale is important, I think.
We'll have to keep that in mind as Windz is using that Harbinger effect and is the only player, I believe, using it. Most of the players actually opting for no MTX. Kind of interesting choice here. I was expecting to at least see some wings or some cool effects.
And we've been seeing a lot of MTX kind of plays in these races lately, and I knew that eventually we're going to have to see a bit of a pushback against that, and then the weird person will be the one who's not running any MTXs. So I think we're starting to see that trend now. It's going to be a little bit of a trend and then a counter trend, you know, culture, counterculture, that kind of thing. I think we're going to see a bit of an ebb and flow here in the MTX strategies of the players.
Definitely interesting. I believe that the only like real benefit that you can actually get from MTX is putting it on a chest or a, you know, put on wings or something like that, because then you can actually see very quickly when a chest has been auto-equipped, and if you're not a duelist, you can take it off so that you can move quicker.
Ooh, those MTX micromanagement plays, love it.
Seeing some yellow boots here and a yellow recurve bow. Getting very lucky with the bows for Windz. Unfortunately, he's melee.
Yep. We're seeing Uber getting rare weapons, and the Leap Slam melee splash Ellie hit guys getting the rare bows. Nonetheless, he did get a rare ring and boots in there, so that's pretty good finds.
Allowed them to trade. Like, oh, you got a rare bow, I've got a rare axe. Let's make a deal here. I'll give you 2 blacksmith sweatstones, and just see what happens. This will allow just trade within the race.
You know what? We haven't seen enough inter-race politics happening yet. You know, the kind of like trading back and forth, the economy, backstabbing, stuff like that. These are not elements that have been worked into those races yet, but I would love to see them.
It would definitely be nice. I know that we did have a race. It was Mayhem, where it was Havoc versus Ziz with teams, and there was a lot of controversy around some of the economy that was going on. So it would be interesting to see if we could get that into our community races as well.
I love that, and would to see a lot more of that.
Ventrua does get a trial done here, still level 18, ahead of everybody else, but looks like Uber Elite and Windz are kind of closing the gap. Looks like Bergerbrush is level 15 and is working his way in a Chamber of Sins 2, a little bit behind, but I don't necessarily feel like he's doing badly. Like, he is like more of an amateur racer, and he hasn't really been playing PoE for very long, like 3 or 4 months. So very good showing by Bergerbrush right now.
Yeah, for a newer player, he's playing, a little bit slower as to be expected, but he's playing pretty smoothly. Like, there's a certain confidence there, which it seems to be working nicely for him.
Looking at the buffs, it looks like we have both the duelists using Herald of Ash. What are your thoughts on that? Is that somewhat of a mistake, since elemental hit is like pure elemental damage and it's not going to be scaling anything but the weapon?
Very nice bow from Bergerbrush too. He's got an insanely good physical bow. Can help out a little bit here with some of these kills.
Looks like we do have Uber Elite using Herald of Ice in the top left, and he's working his way towards the Vol Oversoul. Looks like he's caught up actually, and maybe past Windz a little bit. But looks like Ventrua is going back and is doing all of the trials. Or Uber actually has done all of the trials yet, and I don't know if Ziggy's microphone has died again.
Sorry, I was getting harassed by my dogs. Sorry if I blanked out for a moment earlier.
Okay, so it looks like during the practice here, Ventrua did have a 1 hour, 20-minute lab entrance in practice, and Windz did have a 30-minute Brutus kill. Do you think that Ventrua is going to be able to pull out another 1 hour, 20-minute lab entrance?
Yeah, Havoc's telling us that he had a practice that was 1 hour 20, which is pretty solid, better than I would expect, certainly. So we'll see how it's going. It's going pretty smoothly for him here. I mean, he's on track.
Yeah, definitely pretty good. Looks like we have Windz here, maybe choosing to skip this essence. It's surrounded by a lot of mobs. Normally the areas that you love to farm, lots of density, are actually kind of a problem here for the elemental hit racers, because just too much density, getting surrounded. But the melee splash, I think, is a little bit better than the lesser multiple projectiles.
Yeah, it really scales up a lot better with the increased pack size. Yeah, there's no real target limit there, so as long as they're all kind of smooshed in, it works pretty well. Seen some nice full-screen partying from Berger there.
Exactly what just happened, but looks like he has an awesome bow, and he is blasting out his Exalt screencast here. Going full crazy.
Absolutely horrifying.
Horrifying Exalts. I'm not sure exactly what caused that, but terrifying indeed. If you haven't seen Bergerbrush's channel, it is lots of memes and lots of fun, lots of energy.
Might have been celebrating one of those mid-race subs there. Very nice streamer form there. Good stuff, good stuff.
Always want to show appreciation. Always want to show appreciation in your subs, no matter what's going on. But choosing to do so during the race might actually set him back here.
Yeah, especially if you've got the full splash screen action. Could slow you down a little bit, unless he was racing in the background there. Might have been continuing to play while doing that micromanaging that perfectly. He kills our Fidelitas very quickly, though. That name always throws me for a loop.
He dropped Wanderlust boots, so...
oh, I see. Yes.
Some sort of advantage.
He's doing the best on gear, He's a bit behind, but he's got the really nice bow and the Wanderlust boots. It's pretty huge.
And we definitely have seen racers come completely from behind and win the entire race. I know the last race that Bergerbrush was in, he was in third place for a very long time and ended up coming in second, because both racers in the lead threw their lead in the Labyrinth. So like, a single death in the lab can set you back 10, 15 minutes sometimes. So it'll be interesting to see if he's able to catch up, especially if he's going to continue to get superior luck from RNGesus.
You know, those kind of full screen celebration screens might be what's helping that. So, ooh, we're seeing super low from Windz there, getting shredded by a Harbinger pack. Has to just kind of like keep going. Skip that for sure.
Radius dipping down to the minimum almost, and I believe he is in the temple as well. The 3 racers besides Bergerbrush all kind of in the exact same spot right now, which is a very nice close race, which we like to see, even though they're all kind of playing slightly different builds.
Yeah, this is actually hugely close.
Have faster attacks coming in now for Ventrua. I'm not sure if Windz has that on his Leap Slam. No, he does not, although he does have a spot for it. So maybe if he's listening to the commentary, he'll remember to put faster attacks in his chest. And he does have a Stibonite Flask, which I think is one of the best flasks you can find as a racer.
But Izaro, it's absolutely huge, so that's going to help him a lot for sure.
Yeah, because the Stibonite Flask does blind. I believe that makes it so that he pretty much automatically misses half of the attacks, right?
Yeah, well, it does half, basically, his chance to hit, so that is going to be pretty hugely effective at standing there and face-tanking those melee attacks. And if you can actually be there in melee, then, which is a melee character you absolutely want to be, then he tends to mostly just do his auto attacks and not his big, like, slashing attacks. So it could work really well. And it could save you from a slash if you get a little bit mispositioned.
Yeah, Ventrua on the big screen right now, doing the Vault Oversoul, dodging his way around, not getting slammed, getting some emotes in the chat, hasn't turned on D&D. Do you think these emotes are helping him that the chat is sending him?
That full screen kind of like flashbang of a emote there, you know, I don't know. I don't know. It could be slightly distracting.
Well, if you're interested in helping him out, because it seems like this is what he's looking for, his character name is DC Lara Made Me Practice.
Wow. I don't know if the commentators of the race should be sabotaging the races.
Thing. Apparently, we're being told it's Ventrua, not Ventura.
Ventrua. As Aussie, it just sounds the same either way.
Out of the Mind, he completes Vault Oversoul and is the first person to enter Act 3.
Yeah, it was kind of, I thought Uber was a little bit ahead there, but he really kind of just sped forwards with that Leap Slam action and getting a pretty decent Vault Oversoul kill. Got a few ad spawns in there, but it went okay. I'm interested to see how Uber goes here.
Vault Oversoul to spawn, doing a little bit of gear management, and it'll be interesting to see like how he does here. You know, with having to wear a chest and not being a duelist, definitely slowing down a little bit, and doesn't have the awesome boots like Bergerbrush.
I feel like Uber's single target is a little bit better, actually, than we saw from Ventrua.
He's using elemental damage with attacks, siege, ballista, and elemental hit. So lots of damage coming in, lots of single target damage, and we'll see how this works out for him.
Vol does go straight into a second ad phase, though, after just spawning some ice, so not exactly what you're hoping for.
The peekaboo phase is not what you're looking for at all.
No, playing a bit of whack-a-mole here. Having to dodge because of the lightning as well.
What do you think about these players only using one Herald and not picking up a second one?
You know, I think that is a little bit unusual. They definitely have the mana to support it. I know Ellie-Hit can be a little hungry from memory, but from looks of his mana, that can be worked with just one mana flask just fine with 2 or Heralds. So pretty surprised to not see that second Herald. Stat requirements may be an issue for them. I can't see Uber's gear right now, but maybe it's a stat requirement issue.
So Uber getting lots of peekaboo phases, lots of issues there. But I believe Uber should have enough gear. He's got a lot of dexterity coming off of his 17 dexterity. Should have a lot from just being a raider. So I believe he should be able to use a lightning herald because he does have the lapis amulet online. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, if he's got that lapis, he could definitely pick up that Herald of Thunder. Opting to not do so for some reason. With early hit, that's going to be the only one that's going to be particularly useful for you.
Does actually have 2 elemental hits set up right now. I'm not sure why he has 2. Maybe he's thinking about putting in a rat totem.
You know what? Maybe he's just taken both the 20 for some Volop corruption later on down the track. You know, maybe he's planning on taking this character all the way.
Or maybe in solo self-found.
Yeah, I can see falling in love with the elemental hit action from this.
Anything to do. Maybe looking to garner some support for a new build run here with the race, and it's just going to keep going all the way. Maybe do an Act 5 Kitava kill after he kills Izaro. And looks like Windz on Vol Oversoul as well right now. It's going down pretty easy as melee.
That is the fastest Vol Oversoul kill we've seen, and he stood there. Val just stood there for ages doing nothing, which is exactly what you want. So gets a Chaos as well, can re-roll something.
Player in this race right now. No,
very nice. He was a little bit behind Windz, but he's that fast Oversoul kill is going to help him out quite a bit.
To Uber Elite right now, getting into Act 3 at about 1 hour. It's pretty decent time. I believe they're falling a little bit behind their 25-minute Merveil time. Act 2 really just taking up a lot of time for these players.
Yeah, lots of kind of like dense areas and packs and things to deal with, which maybe slowed them down a little bit here, but I don't know, they keep up a pretty good pace. I'm impressed. I expected this to go a lot slower.
I believe we'll definitely be seeing at least 3 players making it into the lab, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Bergerbrush make it there too. He is just a little bit behind. If his gear luck does keep holding on, though, he could potentially catch up to everybody else. Elite looking for the crematorium right now. Ventrua working his way through the lab, looking for through the crematorium, looking for the lab trial, and finding it.
Looks like I think he's hit all of those trials so far. I don't think he's missed any, so he might not have to go back at all.
So he has done that, which makes him way ahead of everybody else at the moment. I don't believe that I've seen Uber Elite go back for the Catacombs waypoint and the Catacombs trial, so it'll be interesting to see him moving forward.
Yeah, Ventrua didn't hit that Act 2 trial off to the right, did he? I think no one's hit that one yet. That's definitely one to go back for later.
I was under the impression that he did hit all of the trials so far, so...
I must have missed that one. Nice. Well, that's going to help him out for sure. That's a couple of minutes right there. So if he is this close and has taken a couple minute detour to do that, then he's doing very nicely.
At practice,
yeah, chat's saying he did get the crypt. Wow, yeah.
It's like maybe DC Laura really helping him out by forcing him to practice. That might have helped. Gear management, waiting for something here, logging out, gonna be heading back to town. The crematorium, Uber Elite in the crematorium, looking for the trial. Sometimes this can be a little bit hard to find, but also finding piety at the same time, or piety, can be difficult. It's a very big zone, has lots of little nooks and crannies you gotta work your way through. Bergerbrush opening up the shadow ball a little bit behind everybody else. But hopefully those 20% move speed boots are able to help him catch up a little bit.
He's got the gear. If he keeps pushing at a consistent pace and the other guys have some issues in labs, we could see a pretty good run from him here.
Yeah. Like, that's one of the things I really love about these Izaro races is that there's so much uncertainty when you get to the lab. Stuff can happen. You can die. Someone could get a lucky dark shrine. A million things can happen. Like, we've seen even some of the top tier racers die to Izaro because they're pushing it too hard too fast, and so anything can happen.
Yeah, when you're pushing at a race pace through Labyrinth, a lot can go wrong. You can panic on some of those traps, you can kind of get yourself into a bad position, and just under-geared Izaro can be a little bit sketchy for sure. Did we see Uber get that trial in Crematorium?
Don't remember. I do think that he did get that trial in Crematorium. Looks like Windz going back to Act 2 right now to get the trial there.
Yeah, so he's popping over to do that now, which does put him a little bit further behind than I had initially thought, since Ventrua has done that side one. I don't think we've seen Uber do that either, so Ventrua, a pretty nice lead right now.
Speed actually very close, like Bergerbrush at 18, And then we have both Uber and Windz at level 20, then Ventrua a little bit ahead at level 21 and a half. So everybody really close. Bergerbrush, although he's not pushing through the acts as fast as everybody else, is not falling as far behind, I believe, on experience. So he's doing pretty good.
Yeah, for a relative newcomer, he's playing very nicely here. That XP and ground lead for Ventrua is going to be a little hard to overcome unless he makes some mistakes here, or the other guys do very nicely from here on out.
Definitely, it will be interesting. Like I said, the dying in the lab can cause you a lot of issues. Also, I think links for the Uber fight is going to be very hard. As we said, the lab today, for right now, for the next 25 minutes, is conduits and portals. And so for that portal phase, he'll definitely need melee splash, but probably won't want it for other times.
We could definitely see people going through and finishing that, or potentially starting one after that time. You know, if there's some mistakes that happen. So that'll be interesting. Though for now, at least we definitely see Uber, Windz, and Ventrua heading into the current lab as it exists now before the change, unless they die.
It will be interesting to see if PoLab does decide to rush out that normal Labyrinth layout for these races. Windz dipping really low here on the spinny traps. What do you call these spinny traps that Windz is going through? I know you had a special name for them in your original video.
I did. I do not recall, but they terrify me. These ones, for some reason, always terrify me the most.
Find them scarier than Roombas?
I think so, yeah. Roombas are kind of cute, man. You can give them a little pat. Cute little dudes. But they even got made into a pet, they're that cute. Those things are just mean. They're just mean.
Definitely can kill you very quickly, especially at low levels, especially when you're going fast. But that leap slam does help you get around a lot of stuff. Right now, in terms of gear, like I think Ventrua is a little bit ahead. I think Windz having that Stibonite Flask, though, is going to be really massive for him because you're just able to dodge so much damage because of it. It's going to allow him to be in melee range of Izaro for a lot more, and it's going to be very interesting to see how he works that to his benefit.
Yeah, as melee, that's going to be huge. He's rocking a bit of that like evasion and evasion hybrid gear as well, so we could see him get not hit by many Izaro attacks at all.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I'm kind of expecting to see is if any of the duelists decide to get Fortify. Because you're not going to be able to get Fortify support, but you should be able to use the attack that provides you with Fortify buff.
Ooh, is Vigilant Strike... you think that would be allowable? I mean, you could see it as a support skill, but you could also see it as a main attack. I don't know. But we've already seen so much unethical play in this race right now, so that wouldn't even be the worst of it, I guess.
To me, I think having Vigilant Strike would be legit and fine. And Crushington confirming that Vigilant Strike is okay. We'll have to listen to Havoc for the final call. But having Vigilant Strike would really help out because Fortify can really cut down the damage.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely worth getting if, just before getting into lab, if that is indeed allowed. Havoc declaring Vigilant Strike is okay. It is legal. So there we go. We can discuss the ethics all we want, but it is allowed in the race.
Ancestral Totem plus Vigilant Strike, maybe even Decoy Totem, really allowing you to take very little damage, and could really help these melee builds get the extra punches in that they need.
So range has that ranged advantage of just being able to maneuver a bit easy in position a bit further away, but against Izaro, it's not that big a help. You have to deal with his wind slashes, and melee having a lot more tools to deal with Izaro. You know, that Stibonite Flask is going to be huge, the totems, the potential Vigilant Strike. So got a lot of tools to use there to make Izaro a lot easier.
It'll definitely be interesting to see what level they decide to go in. If they're going to be using curses, like I know Enfeeble becomes available at level 24. Although like neither Ranger nor Duelist does get that. So it'll be interesting to see what curses these players decide to go with, if they decide to use curses at all. Also, if they end up going into the Labyrinth after it resets, like it could potentially be an absolutely terrible lab or an easy lab tomorrow. So we're not necessarily sure what to expect just yet.
Yeah, we don't see much curse action these days. You know, that self-casting curse has definitely fallen out of favor, but especially with the penalties on bosses, it just feels often not worth it.
Super lucky picking up 2 giant life flasks off a box and off a couple other monster kills. Giant life flasks being a big deal later on in the race.
Berger's taking down Val Oversoul now, going pretty smoothly, dodging some slams with style and aplomb.
Berger definitely
into a
keeping
second
his
ad
cool.
phase. Keeping his cool for sure. Going into a second ad phase though, slowing down a little bit.
So you'll probably end up with like around a 110 Act 3, which is definitely respectable for an amateur racer. Even like with using Elemental Hit, definitely showing he's maybe practiced this a little bit, has a little bit of extra experience. I know he's done at least 1 race so far. Getting another unique.
Wow, Berger with the brisk wrap action. Bit of attack speed
Everywhere.
bonus could be nice. Doesn't have the links he's looking for exactly. He's got a linked chest currently, so might not be able to use it for a bit, but having a good laugh there. He's having a great time with the race, and I think that is, there we go, there's that full screen celebration action. Beautiful.
The absolutely terrifying.
Those nightmare fuel inducing exalted orb face mishmash things are terrifying. Definitely, you know, could put the fear into the other racers, give him the advantage.
Yeah, if they are watching the stream right now and seeing that, they may potentially really get thrown off their game. Uber Elite working his way through the Trial of Ascendancy, and Ventrua working his way through Solaris Temple right now.
Uber running through very smoothly, only getting nicked by a couple of the little spikes there.
A scary Labyrinth trial to be going through, especially if you don't have Leap Slam.
He hesitates on that door for a second. I think he was like, oh, did I miss the lever? Then remembering that is the door that you click. That throws a lot of people off. There's a lot of doors that you have to open with the levers, and then there's that one door that you just have to click on. And it really, you know, can really screw you up sometimes. Runs back and then remembers. Click to open the door.
There was a popular Mathel clip of him getting very confused at that door. So maybe he was keeping up to date on his Twitch clips and saw that and was able to figure out that door.
Yep, keeping up to date on the memes can definitely help. I know that has gotten me before that door, so good to see, you know, the knowledge kind of winning out there.
Absolutely. Looks like Venter working his way through Solaris right now. Windz picking up the ribbon spool. Uber Elite, I believe he's gone back to do a trial. And Bergerbrush in town doing a little shopping, figuring out his gear, trying to figure out how to make that brisk wrap work, messing around with his boots, messing around with his chest, and we'll figure out exactly what he does moving forward.
You know, I can't see Windz and Ventrua's face, but I can definitely tell that Bergerbrush is having the most fun of all the races right now, so he's definitely winning on that side.
Yeah, definitely having fun, also very important, especially when using Elemental Hit, because that can really just kill your spirits. Looking at Uber's build right now, looks like he did decide to go down to get the movement speed nodes. And like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, they're pretty good nodes and definitely worth taking advantage of as a ranger, and just trying to push that movement speed while the blink arrow is on cooldown as much as possible is going to be kind of the only thing he has to compete with the Leap Slam. So he's using the tools that he's got, I guess.
Is working his way through the docks right now. I mean, he's getting very close. Oh, getting really low with the fire dogs. But it looks like he's going to be getting very close to being the first player to be able to unlock the labyrinth. Currently level 23, needs 2 more levels to unlock the next tier of axes. Do you think we'll see like a level 25 lab entrance here from Ventrua?
Yeah, it's looking to be about that. He doesn't have too much more to do, really. He's not going to have to kill too much more after this. He just has to clear out that sewer, go through there, and then pop up and get that last trial. And then he's pretty much straight into lab. No need for any piety or dominus or anything like that.
People do go for piety or dominus. We have seen people in the past go for that without remembering that you don't have to do those. Bergerbrush in trouble right now, getting chased down by a ghosted mob, having a lot of problem here. It'll be interesting to see if he ends up dying or ends up taking this thing down.
He's trying to kill it. He's getting very low. No instant heal flask, and the healing is not keeping up with the damage he's taking. Going to kill the mob gets him pretty low, but he's riding the edge right there. Going for the kill is a questionable move, but he wants that loot. Unfortunately, does not get any bows, gets a bunch of weapons.
He's gotten very lucky here with lots of uniques. Maybe looking for his third. He might be able to pull it out. What type of unique do you think it would really set Bergerbrush ahead of everybody right now?
Yeah, I was just wondering, what other uniques could he want at this point, really? You know, maybe a little bit of a gold rim or something? Just throw that on there. Sort of cap those resists.
Sort of a unique bow that would help him out. That would definitely help him out with like maybe a Storm Cloud or a Roth's Reach being very good for this build.
Roth's Reach, in my opinion, utter trash, but Stormcloud would be very nice on the early hit. Definitely like to see one of those dropping.
Really funny. I believe doing more damage even than Roth's Reach. But having the skills chain plus one time might let him drop like Pierce and be able to use something different.
Yeah, that's true. It would give the clear speed that they definitely don't have right now. So, I guess that would be a thing. Although you'd be running around with a single arrow chaining to packs. I don't think it would be all that impressive. I think at this point you want the single target damage for that eventual Izaro fight.
Windz does find the stuff here in the docks, and will be moving forward towards Solaris Temple. Ventrua in the same spot does find a unique necklace as well, but can't wear it because his necklace is providing him the strength he needs to wear other pieces of gear.
Oh, damn, no Haraku Tiki action for him right now.
No Tiki action indeed. Do a little refresh here on the gear, and it looks like people in general are not stacking a lot of resistances. Uber having about 30 cold and lightning res, no fire res. As we've seen in the past, like people that go into Labyrinth without fire resistance really come to regret it. Do you think these players might end up getting some ruby rings?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, there's not too much damage in Labyrinth to worry about, but there is still that little trek through quite a few heavy elemental damage zones, and then there is those fireballs in Izaro, which you can easily forget about, you know? You think, all right, he doesn't do any elemental damage. You look at the PoE lab, you don't see much in the way of added elemental damage on the effects there, and you're like, you know, I think I got this without worrying about the resists, but those fireballs can sneak up on you, and getting hit by a few of those and having them stun you because they're dealing so much damage can be pretty brutal, especially if it follows up with one of those wind slashes.
I definitely remember watching Mr. Llama in a previous race eating a lot of those fireballs and deciding to go with full fire res gear so you wouldn't keep dying to them.
Good plan. Yep, a couple quick ruby rings if their rings are not very good and easy to replace could definitely help a lot. A bit more than the iron rings.
Iron rings not very good at this point, although I don't really think anybody besides Bergerbrush is currently using them. Looks like right now we have Ventrua at level 23, and then just behind him, Uberly and Windz at level 22, Bergerbrush at 20. So all very close. Windz actually getting ahead of Ventrua here and is heading towards the last trial. I'm not sure if he's unlocked all of them yet, though, so he might have to go back to at least do one.
I think this is the last trial for Ventrua here. I think he's only got this one, then he's going to be straight into lab, so we're going to be seeing how well he runs that lab. And he definitely has a topaz that he can swap out for a ruby ring if he wants to get those resistances up as well.
I believe he just used a chance orb on a sapphire ring and hit. All of the stats are pretty terrible. He's got accuracy, cast speed, evasion rating, mana, and light radius. Basically, not the ring you want.
Yeah, that thing's garbage, so I could definitely be swapping that dude out. Not sure why going for the craft on the sapphire ring. I guess just saw it in his inventory and was like, let's do this, let's get some damage. Didn't happen though.
Windz going for the prison trial right now, leap slamming through the traps very quickly. It'll be interesting to see if he's able to get through here nice and clean. Does eat some spikes, but hopefully doesn't die, because even though those traps, this is a low level zone, you still take full damage from the traps.
Trying to take a shortcut there and still get stopped by the spikes, so it didn't quite work out for him.
How many trials Windz has left? Looks like he's heading back to the battlefront right now.
Has he not done docks yet?
I believe he has done docks because he was in the hedge maze. So he might be looking for some XP farm here. He might be good to go for the lab. And it looks like he is going to reset the docks, so he is farming up. Ventrua looking like he's preparing for Izaro. He's got 3 giant life flasks and I believe 1 giant mana. And that's, generally what you see going into the lab.
Yeah, Wind's not feeling confident enough to move into lab now. Definitely just farming some XP here. Ventrua is just going straight forward, though, from the looks of things. A little bit of a questionable kind of move to farm up at this point. I wonder what he's trying to hit that he's feeling like he needs to farm for before moving in there.
I mean, a lot of racers at least wait for 23 or 25, because 25 you are going to unlock the arming axe, and so that is a kind of a sizable damage boost, but it's not that much. So we'll see what Windz decides to do. It looks like he skips back and passes an essence pack. Was that contempt he just passed?
Ooh, if so, that's definitely a shame. Now, when it comes to farming a few extra levels, you really need to be wanting to hit something in particular from those extra levels. I mean, a couple extra passives doesn't make a huge difference unless they're some pretty major ones. So, interesting to see what he's going for here. Maybe he's going for that.
We have an update here. Ventrua did just open up the Labyrinth door, and so it makes him the first person to open the Labyrinth at a time of 1 hour, 20 minutes, right on pace with this time from before. And he has 10 minutes left until the lab resets. So maybe Windz is just like, all right, I got 10 minutes here till the lab changes, and then I got to get in there before that happens.
And maybe he's trying to hit that lab last minute. Or maybe he doesn't like the current lab, is going to hang out until the lab change. Seems unlikely, but you never know. But yeah, that lab enter from Ventrua is exact on time with his practice run. Gets the cube of absorption there, definitely going for the little trinkets. Definitely lots of enemies in there.
Wow. He's got 3 giant life flasks. Really important because they have 3 uses compared to the previous level flask, which only has 2. So lots of more healing with this. So he's also looking for dark shrines as well.
He's going extremely low and getting trapped with some nasty mobs against the trapdoors as well. So he's having a pretty hard time in here.
Yeah, I believe a lot of those guys do lightning damage. So very scary. He does get the dark shrine that will make him take half damage from traps, which will be nice as he moves through.
Yeah, it's the reduced damage over time from the traps, so not too bad. A little bit of extra safety. Not a huge deal. Definitely not as good as he could have hoped for, but into that first aspirant's trial.
That he has some sort of advantage here because he was working, it looks like, with DC Laura, was able to get some advantages, be able to get some tips from her about how to race, because he's even given her a little bit of homage here with the name.
Yeah, definitely. You can definitely kind of see that there, just kind of like praising the master.
Good on him. Always good to see what he does in terms of giving props where it's due. No Vigilant Strike heading into Izaro. I'm not even sure if he has culling. Looks like he's going straight for the damage here on Izaro.
He's got that Enduring Cry up as well, so getting a little bit of extra mitigation there. Going to help out. Getting a bit of damage on, waiting for the statues to appear so they can start to manage them. This is definitely a hard kind of phase to manage when you're not sure if you're about to hit that point where it goes into the next phase, and you're trying to deactivate all of your conduits, but it can go wrong. So this is a bit make or break for the rest of his run potentially.
So Ventrua actually did something very smart, and I haven't necessarily seen all the racers utilize to the maximum in terms of using the cube of absorption for this phase. But as you notice that the conduit of flames did pop up first in the bottom, and he decided to not hit it right away, and instead disabled the side on the right conduit, which means that he only has to hop between the bottom and the side, as opposed to having to hop left to right. And this way, he's able to keep his eyes on the prize the entire time and not having to look around the entire arena. So I think this is a big move from him. It's definitely showing that he's got a little bit of mastery, a lot of practice forced upon him, but definitely pulling out a lot of the good tricks here.
Great pickup and a great move from Ventrua as well. And also worth pointing out that the one that he disabled was the ice one as well, so preventing those nasty freezes if that one does end up getting screwed up. So completely mitigating the chance of that happening as well. But this is going a lot nicer for him as a result. Still having to dodge around a lot, eating a few wind slashes, taking a lot of damage from them. Pretty intense little fight here.
On Windz right now. Windz heading into first phase of Izaro with a permanent diamond shrine.
Oh, wow. We might see, Ventrua in this fight playing really well, but having a tough time. And then we might see Windz just smash Izaro here. It's going to help a lot for sure.
Windz also did pick up the cube of absorption, isn't hitting the conduit of flames. And I believe you have both of them up on the screen right now. It'll be interesting to see the damage difference with that diamond shrine. Unless he decides to knock down the Conduit of Storms.
Leaving up the Conduit of Frost and Flames there on the left. Same strategy, though. Both pulling for that same strategy.
Corner and just like on the side is very strong in terms of just being able to dodge Izaro. When you lose sight of him and you don't know when he's using his special attacks is when you get in trouble.
That Diamond Shrine definitely helping out. He's doing a ton more damage here, getting Izaro down a lot faster. It's actually evened out now. They're both at exactly the same point on the Izaro life counter. It's a really intense fight here. Wow. My eyes are flicking back and forth.
A little bit of advantage, I think, here with the Stibonite, and does get the phase done first. So a little bit easy claps there for that. Definitely very impressive from Windz.
It's going to be a huge help for him. Ventrua just really kind of slowly chipping away at Izaro here, but those crits just shredded him so much faster.
Very low on flasks, has, I believe, 2 life flask uses right now, and no mana.
This is an epic fight right here. Gonna do whatever damage you can. Can't really get the elemental hits in every now and then, just kind of getting a splash attack off. Mostly relying on that totem at this point, but it's slow going.
Windz already on the second Aspirant's Trial. That crit shrine really tearing it up.
Run. Holy moly.
This one is portals. I'm not sure if he did pick up the portal shredder trinket, but Ventrua getting through phase 1. Some easy claps for that as well. Now, that's definitely not an easy fight. He did not pick up the portal shredder, so he will have to break all 3 portals.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing that portal kills go. Those mages actually do quite a bit of damage, so sometimes when you have a lot of AoE, it's pretty easy to deal with those guys at the same time as fighting Izaro. But here, with Ellie hit, ooh, huge amounts of damage from Izaro, though. He's going very low. It would be a real shame if he died here and lost that Diamond Shrine. Lots of damage from the fireballs, too. Not much fire resist.
Very low, very low. And he does have a Topaz ring, which has like no stats on it, and a 2-stone Fire Lightning. He does not really have that much fire resistance. Looks like only 15% from gear. I believe he did take Lyra for additional 15%, so he should be sitting at about 30% fire res right now.
Yeah, definitely struggling here, even with that Diamond Shrine. If he throws away this run with the Diamond Shrine, he'll be absolutely devastated.
Just taking his time, finding the Dark Shrine, gets a massive shrine.
That's definitely going to help for sure. A melee splash AoE for clearing these packs, but most importantly, that life is going to help a lot. Ryan's playing a big role in this. Whew. Oh, Windz going exceptionally low. I don't know how delayed you are.
He's perished, losing the Diamond Shrine.
Oh no, devastating. He loses that Diamond Shrine run. That had him the win for sure, but throws it away. Unless Ventrua here goes down as well, you might be seeing Uber with a chance, but that is absolutely brutal. Gets overconfident with the Diamond Shrine and goes down.
Confidence is a slow and insidious killer, so we'll see if he's able to catch up. This, Massive Shrine, while it is very good, is not necessarily a guaranteed win for Ventrua. The 732 health, though, very nice.
Yeah, very nice. It's definitely going to improve his safety margin there to maintain this lead that he just got. I wonder if he knows that Windz went down, if the chat's giving him the spoilers or not, but he's probably feeling a little bit nervous here. But maybe he's feeling really good, getting that Massive Shrine. He's taking his time, playing it safely. It might work for him.
He is almost, dipping very low, getting very scarily low there. Wow. But for Windz at least. But Windz does only have 432 HP. Oh, Windz down again.
Oh no. Oh damn, that is gonna hurt a lot. At this point, it's not even the death penalty, just so much as having to rerun Lab. Definitely gonna put him on tilt a little bit there, I imagine. Those back-to-back deaths in Lab hurt a lot. Uber in Lab now as well, so he's got a chance.
Anybody who dies in Lab from here on out is going to be running a brand new, undiscovered Lab. It'll be very interesting to see what happens.
Did Uber get that, or did he get in just before the change?
Change yet. We have 1 minute left on this Labyrinth. And so...
okay. Good to know.
Anybody who dies, they better die right now.
Look at the amount of ads in this fight. He's having a real tough time dealing with them. Now that he's killed the final portal, it's going to help a lot, though. Those little kind of skeleton mages there, they're kind of surprisingly tough.
They can do a lot of damage, surprising large amount, but definitely having this massive shrine is helping out with the melee splash. And I'd almost think that you might want to put melee splash on your ancestral protector.
Maybe. It's definitely having a hard time dealing with those packs there and not getting much of a chance to use his melee splash early hit.
He does have melee splash on his ancestral protector.
He does.
Windz just went down, but the lab has reset. For Windz.
Oh, he went down again. Oof, I missed that. It's got that new lab now. Who knows what is going to be in this one? I think we definitely could have seen a Ventrua death here, but that massive shrine saved him so many times here with how low he's gone.
Massive for his survivability, that's for sure.
I think this is the hardest part.
Places. Knows that he's in a new labyrinth.
Won't have that PoE lab map to reference either, so he's going to be going completely blind at this.
Really stink to see gargoyles or something like that come into the lab. Although I think that's the single target for gargoyles might not be as bad as portals. Portals being very scary. Ventrua is still working on phase 2.
Very slow and steady here, just taking his time, slowly picking away with that totem mostly. Uber in his first phase here, going with 523 life, not too bad. More than even Windz as a duelist, so looking pretty good survivability-wise.
Lots of damage. He is in the old lab, so he does have conduits here as his first phase. Does have that totem poking away at Izaro. Eats a wind slash and dips very low.
Yeah, but not dying from the one-hit wind slash, so he's feeling pretty good. He's got enough life and mitigation to survive that. So as long as he doesn't get hit by anything else, he might be okay here.
I'm noticing is that Windz is forced to go between the left and right conduits as opposed to hitting that bottom one. So he is having to spend a lot of time going left and right in this zone and is not able to see Izaro all the time. Very dangerous.
Yeah, you don't want to get off screen by one of those thunders without realizing it's coming, or worse yet, a barrage of fireballs.
The permanent increased defenses shrine. Not very great for this race.
Yeah, not going to play a huge role for him. Not as good as that massive, and certainly not as good as that diamond shrine that he started off with. Ventrua now pushing his way towards the last Izaro encounter here.
I think at this point, it's his race to lose. I'm not sure if he brought Culling Strike. I don't see it on any of his links just yet. But if he did put it on like an Ancestral Protector Totem, that does make a big difference.
Uber having a tough time, out of potions, down to half. Any hit basically could take him out here. So kind of kiting around, waiting for his totem to kill some skeletons so he can get some flash charges. That's slowing him down a lot.
No, he does have 2 life flasks. However, one of them is a Grand Life Flask. So I think that is a little bit lower level. So he only has 2 uses out of it. And his Giant Life Flask is a Seething Life Flask. So while he does get that instant heal, it's going to be used up a lot more.
Yeah, really nice to have that instant heal for safety, but the second life flask is not really carrying its weight.
The instant heal I think is okay. Like it will save you against like a barrage, but like if you get hit by a wind slash, you're not going to take another like large load of damage right away. So just having like a regular giant life flask is probably preferable. Windz working on phase 1 Izaro, and we have Ventrua going into phase 3 right now with that massive shrine.
Done that first phase pretty quickly, Windz does. He's moving pretty smoothly. If Ventrua has any upsets in here, then it's still potentially up for Uber or Windz. But with that massive shrine, he's looking pretty safe. And this last phase, without any traps in normal lab, is going to be not too hard.
Like Windz got Cube of Absorption just now, which means he's going to get conduits in his second phase. I kind of missed what his first phase was. Was it gargoyles?
Yeah, I didn't even see what that one was, so I don't know if his Izaro is going to be buffed at all. He got through there really quickly, so I didn't see what that was.
Working on phase 3 Izaro right now. I'm not sure he does have Culling Strike, so he is going to kill Izaro all the way down. Oh, he does have Culling Strike on his elemental hit, actually.
He's prepared for that, but a little early maybe, not wanting to make any mid-fight swaps here. This is going to take him a while to get him down into cull range.
I think he'll be fine. I think at this point, with the massive shrine, the 3 giant life flasks, he's just in a really great position to win the race here.
Yeah, true. He's got everything he needs. He's not really even worrying too much about that Enduring Cry anymore, just going for as much damage as possible here.
Option not using the Enduring Cry, because that definitely will help you not die.
Yeah, but maybe he's feeling a little bit confident with that massive shrine, but ooh, going super low from the Wind Slash plus the Skelly's chipping away at him there. He'd be dead many times over with that massive shrine, but using it to full advantage to get as much damage in as possible.
Very scary. Hopefully they'll be able to get it down here very soon. I believe chat is saying that Uber did allow Izaro to get a buff from a conduit, so we're gonna have difficult phases moving forward. Looks like Windz is onto his second phase Izaro, which I believe will be conduits as well.
Letting him get that conduit buff really sucks, depending on which it is. The fire might not be too bad, but the lightning for the shocks or the ice for the freeze could be really bad. Then there's that cull, and we have the kill for Ventrua. Very nicely played, very smooth. Had some intense fights here, but manages to take the victory. What an absolute legend. What a legend, with 0 deaths too. Very smooth run.
0 deaths, very impressive. A lot of easy claps in the chat for Ventrua.
Definitely some easy claps for that as well.
It was like 1 hour 36 minutes. That's very fast. I'm surprised that people even completed this race.
You know what? I was not expecting us to even get to Izaro in the 2-hour limit. These guys impressing me hugely with the early hit action. Very well played from all of them, really. Let's see who can take that second place slot now.
See, Windz is working on his second phase right now. Conduits, he is doing a left to right here, so a little bit more scary than what he did last time.
It'd be interesting to see if he screws this one up, because that'll play a big role here potentially. Windz and Uber pretty close at this point, both in their second phase. Windz just finishing the second phase though, so a couple minutes ahead. He has had a few deaths in lab, and we don't know about that death timer as well. Uber had 2 deaths, so he's on a 2-minute penalty. Windz,
I think both Uber and Windz are sitting on 2 deaths, so
so even. Perfect.
Races over, we'll have to double check, but yeah, I believe it's both 2-2. Windz getting a little bit lost in lab, doesn't have the benefit of having the layout ahead of time, having to explore it all for himself. Heading towards phase 3 though.
Yeah, Uber having that well-known lab here. But that last stretch into the last encounter, not too bad. Did he get all of those conduits down, so no buffs? Didn't get to see right at the end there. Yeah, we'll see once he moves into the final encounter there if he's got any buffs.
I do see that Uber does have the Conduit of Flames up, so definitely a little scary. I don't believe that Windz has any buffs up. So moving into, I believe, phase 3 here with the impenetrable shrine, should be doing pretty well here. His weapons are actually pretty decent. He's got a fizz damage percentage, flat cold, flat lightning axe in his main hand. His offhand is just a percent physical, but pretty decent weapons coming out from Windz. Plus that Stibonite flask.
Yeah, that Stibonite's going to play a huge role here, and it looks like he's going to have a pretty smooth final kill there. Uber's going to have a much harder time here. A big ignite from a Wind Slash or something could really take him down with his, not that good flasks. Pretty brutal.
One thing to note, Windz does have a 4-link boot, but it's connected to his Ancestral Protector Totem. A little bit of a questionable choice here.
Trying to let the totem do most of that work after the scary encounters earlier on, I guess. Ooh, dodging that Wind Slash very nicely. Wasn't sure where that was going myself. Judges and does it nicely. Yeah, when you got that totem down as well, it can be hard to tell if it's going for the totem or for you.
It generally is pray and run away. Windz doing a lot of damage though. That Stibonite flask really letting him tank. Really letting his Ancestral Protector Totem do a lot of damage too.
No coal, but he doesn't need it because he's going to be taking second place here, and he gets it, getting a unique drop off the Izaro kill as well. It's a crappy unique duel, but nonetheless, He gets that second place win. Very nicely earned after some rough deaths in Labyrinth. Let's see how Uber goes with taking third place here. He's got some tough fights ahead of him here.
Absolutely. And let's get some easy claps in the chat for Windz coming in second place, 1 hour 39 minutes with Elemental Hit. Very impressive.
Absolutely. What an absolute legend.
Legend. Very low, very scary here with all of these ads in the middle of the room. His totem doing a lot of cleanup work, but still lots of stuff, shooting little fireballs at him. And it's just a scary fight. The portals is very bad, especially when you're using a primarily single target skill. And we do have Bergerbrush, I believe, just hit level 25, which makes him, I believe, the highest level player right now. And I wonder when he's going to decide to head towards the lab.
He's going in for a super geared and super ready Labyrinth. He might have the smoothest run of them all, but at this point, pretty far behind. Ooh, that instant heal saving Uber Elite's life right there. Whew.
Life flasks right now, working on trying to refill those pots, but a very scary situation. He does not have 2 giant life flasks. I think that's kind of a mistake.
Yeah, definitely going to hurt him a lot here, and he's having a hard time kind of even getting those spellcaster skeletons down. Kind of trying to pick some of them off here, trying to get some flask charges, get some safety.
The spellcaster skeletons don't even provide flash charges. It's only the skeletons that Izaro creates that will give you flash charges.
Really? So I did not know that. That's brutal.
Very brutal for this type of race. Probably one of the hardest like Izaro mods you can get, unless you're playing like a lightning arrow and able to get him in the middle of all the pack.
Uber solo and goes down. Oh, brutal. It's such a tough fight there. You know, if we see Bergerbrush taking the lab here and Uber going into a lab that he doesn't know about now because he has to refresh, and we could be seeing third place up for grabs. We'll see if Berger goes in the lab now. He should be about ready, really. He's got great gear. He's got a good life total, pretty good weapon. I think he's pretty well set up. Just maybe lacking that confidence a little bit from stemming from being a little bit newer to the game.
Yeah, it looks like PoE Lab has not updated for the new lab just yet. So definitely, maybe he's waiting for that to go live. Maybe he's just looking to get one more level. But I don't believe that you do get a new bow until level 28, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think looking at his gear right now, he is pretty much should be just going in at this point. He's got everything he needs. He's in pretty good shape.
He's got a top tier level 23 bone bow. It's got added fire, added cold, added lightning, and accuracy. Just great weapon for him.
The only thing he could be really doing at this point is chucking some of his crafting resources he has sitting spare in his inventory on some of his like pieces of gear here, and then just going for it.
He's making a little bit of a mistake here. Looks he's still farming up, heading for 26 even, making him significantly the highest level. Uber Elite, I'm not sure what he's doing right now. Maybe he's heading to the docks, going to farm up some experience. Knows that he has some additional time still left on the clock to get into the lab. As long as these racers are in the lab by the 2-hour mark, they can still complete.
Yeah, it looks like we might be seeing Uber farm up a little bit, feeling a little bit lacking in confidence here. Maybe he realizes he's still got a solid shot at third, maybe if he knows that Berger hasn't gone into the lab yet. Berger might not realizing that he's got a chance here to run into the lab and just kind of like sneakily take that third spot. He might have just kind of resigned himself to getting a real solid, honorable, smooth finished in last place, but you know, maybe he doesn't realize what's up for grabs here.
Was able to spam him like, get in the lab, get in the lab. I don't see that he has almost any fire resistance though, so a little bit scary dealing with those barrages. And maybe he's just going to go to 26 here and then go into the Labyrinth. Experience
definitely got
advantage.
A little bit of gear, yeah.
He's got a little bit of unique advantage too.
Solid unique advantage for sure.
And his quiver actually, it's got physical damage, fire damage, global critical strike multiplier, dexterity. Like that's a great quiver. Bergerbrush way ahead in terms of gear.
Pretty good rolls. Looks like he's still farming up. Curious to see if he's going to run into the lab here, if this is the last thing he's doing, or if he's just going to go for a bit more farming action after sorting out his gear here.
I don't think he's done the Solaris Temple yet, because he's still using a white necklace. He is it looks like he still has the thematic sulfite in his inventory. So just really taking his time. Gets 2 giant life flasks, very important. Interesting to see if Uberly does update his flasks, because having that grand life flask definitely hurting him the last time.
Yeah, I definitely see Berger kind of just taking his time to get fully set up here. Did not realize he still had a bit of progression to do, so he's going to have to go and do that. Might give Uber some time to farm up and get a little bit of extra equipment so they can have a smoother run. Well, looks like he's actually going in for another lab run there. I've just been finishing off that 1 level before going in.
Bergerbrush actually on a 2-link right now, not really having the link luck. Lots of uniques, lots of great gear, no links though. And looks like he's going back to the prison.
He must have missed that first trial there. I'm going to be AFK for a moment, so I'll hand the torch to you for just a minute.
Looks like we do have Bergerbrush looking for the lab trial right now. Uber Elite in Labyrinth. I believe this can be his 3rd or 4th try. And hopefully he's able to pull this out here. Both gentlemen higher level at level 25 than the 2 duelists who were able to complete at level 24. Berger looking for the trial, not finding it very easily, having a hard time here. Uber Elite working his way through this new and foreign labyrinth. I'm wondering if he has any idea what to be expecting. I wonder if people have told him this lieutenants and conduits, but in general it's going to be very difficult. Lab layout can be very advantageous for players. And being able to know where those dark shrines are, as we've seen, made a big difference for both Windz and Ventrua. Right now towards the first Izaro trial. Looks like he just abandons the labyrinth. He left, opened a portal and left. Not sure exactly what's going on. Realized he doesn't have a giant life flask, and is going to go buy a 2nd giant life flask. It up, and he now has 3 life flasks. Decides not to go with 3 giants, but only using, I believe, 1 mana flask. So definitely very interesting going in the labyrinth. Not necessarily sure about what to get just there in terms of gear. Abandoning out, but I think that extra life flask is really going to help him out. Berger finally finding the trial, pretty much cleared the entire lower prison looking for this thing, and definitely very slow here. Berger has, I believe, only 13 minutes to get into the labyrinth, but still has a chance of getting 3rd place.
How are things shaping up since I've been gone?
He went into the lab and then left because he wanted to get a life flask.
I realized his mistake from earlier. Grabbed an extra life flask there. Yeah, I see the 3 on his toolbar now.
He is skipping the trinket though in the first room. I believe there's a trinket and a dark shrine, so I don't think he's picking up either one of those, which I think is a big mistake.
I don't think he's too worried about that first phase, but we do know from the earlier run from Windz, I believe it was, that the 2nd phase is going to be that conduits.
Windz and Ventrua chatting to each other, talking about how Duelist is #1 for elemental hit. Do you think that moving forward in these elemental hit races that we'll see a lot of duelists?
Yeah, in these elemental hit races. My God, I hope that's not the case. But, I did expect to see a bit more bow action, but definitely seeing that melee splash now, it's clearly superior. Looks really nicely.
Into providing us with a blamped elemental hit, like that might be like really the end game for these types of races.
You know what? I think that would be the most beautiful thing of all time, and that would kill all enthusiasm and all of the memes for elemental hit from this point onwards, I think. So I'd love to see that. Just put the final nail in the coffin for Ellie hit.
Chris Wilson on the phone right now, and hopefully he'll agree. But it looks like Uberly is working on first phase Izaro, not having the trinket, having to deal with all 3 lieutenants. Can be a little tricky if you end up killing Izaro accidentally here, and then having the lieutenants keep coming back for the next 2 phases. Gets the first one down though, no big deal. Doing a lot of running around in circles. Let's talk about his buff choices. Looks like he does have 2 heralds now and the Arctic armor. So like very low on mana here.
Yeah, with the 1 mana flask, could be a little bit of an issue if he starts to run out of mana flasks with no real adds to speak of. The Arctic armor has traditionally been insanely good for boss fights like this. You can just kind of move a little bit and chill them, but the chilled ground a lot weaker now since the recent expansion. They're not having as big an impact on Izaro.
The chilled ground, not as strong as it used to be, but definitely very helpful for phases like this with lieutenants, because it does slow the lieutenants down as well, allowing you to like get some space. And I don't even think his boots have movement speed, so since he's a little bit slower than some of the other racers, it will make a big difference being able to slow everybody else down. And also does slow Izaro down when he's doing like his wind slash attack.
Yeah, that little bit of extra time could well make a difference here. Taking down those lieutenants just nice and slow and steady, realizes he's got time, he's going to kind of take his time here and play it safe. But you can kind of go much faster with this setup at this point if you wanted to.
Definitely, I believe Lieutenant's being a lot easier than the portal phase, because we're not seeing him run in circles around a million skeletal mages, and Lieutenant's definitely being a good pick here.
Yeah, if he does a smooth run on the conduits, it's going to have a much better time. Conduits, Lieutenant's much better than conduits, portals for sure.
I think one of the big disadvantages he has at this time is that he's not necessarily sure where all the trinkets are located. So might skip the trinket, and then when we've seen people do 3 conduit Izaro, it's just having a very difficult time. Bergerbrush looking for the last trial right now. Hopefully he's able to get that and get into lab within the next 9 minutes.
Yeah, he's cutting it a little close on time there. I'd like to see him make it all the way if he can. But he's going to be pushing it close for time for sure. Getting a little bit over-prepared, really.
The highest experience racer right now at almost level 26.
I'd like to get some words from chat now while we wait for this moment. How are you guys feeling about the choice for Ellie Hit? You guys who voted for Ellie Hit, are you having regrets? Have you enjoyed this race? How has it been?
Looks like Uberleet did finish out that phase of Izaro and is moving on towards phase 2.
Chat simply typing words in chat. Thank you. You guys, very literal. Love it.
Thank you, Jinsri. That was very helpful. Looks like Uberleet working through the next zone. I believe this zone probably should have a trinket hidden in it. But looks like he's just trucking straight towards the next area. It'll be interesting to see if he checks the map for whether or not this had a trinket in it.
If he can find that, it's going to make a big difference. Having run between all 3 of those is going to be brutal.
I definitely think that the trinket for conduits is one of the most important, right alongside gargoyles.
Yeah, it can be pretty huge. Helps a lot. Chat's a bit of a mixed opinion. Some people loving the Elite action. Some people are full of regrets.
That Infernal Blow race, that's definitely one of the things I voted for. I think it would be better than Glacial Hammer. Glacial Hammer, I mean, recently getting buffed 6%. This is a buff for sure. Like, listen to us. We know how to balance this skill. But it's definitely not as good as maybe like an Ellie Hit.
Yeah, Glacial Hammer extremely well balanced. That when you get to points like that where you're just making minor balance adjustments, the skill is perfectly balanced. So it would see a perfectly balanced race, but I think the Infernal Blow explosions would be a little bit more exciting.
Is heading in towards second phases I don't believe he picked up Cube of Absorption. Bergerbrush heading into first phases are I'm not sure how many deaths he has on the counter right now, so this could still be a very close race.
I don't think I've seen any deaths from Berger. He's been playing just really smoothly and consistently. Have we had any deaths? Can we get an official count here? Because Uber's on 3. That 3 minutes could make a difference here.
They make a difference. Although Bergerbrush at this point, the full screens, the memes might cost him the race here for 3rd place.
Yep, every few seconds of full screen memes definitely adds up. That's a minute over the course of a race there. It's basically one day
of him and his chat. So it's really kind of a give and take for Bergerbrush here. He does only have 2 life flasks though. Have to play it very safe to not run out of flasks.
He's only got the one link, the one support gem on the Ellie hit, which makes this fight very brutal, despite his amazing gear, having a hard time with not having much damage from no supports. Ouch.
Yeah, big Burger S right there from that slam, and doing a very good job, though, killing the lieutenants. Definitely impressed, like, getting into the Labyrinth with this really great skill. Impressive. Even from, like, a pro racer, from an amateur racer, even more impressive.
You know, definitely have to give him a hand for that because, you know, this is a brutal slog to try and make your way through with Ellie hit, especially when you don't have any support gems for it. He's been really, yeah, he's been giving it his all here.
Really, it looks like he does have to manage all three conduits. Looks like he's not even bothering to manage the far right one. I'm not sure which one that is. I know the bottom is frost. That must be fire off on the right. Yeah, it looks like he's actually leaving the lightning one up. Very sketchy situation for Uber Elite right now. Do you think that he'll leave him with at least one buff?
It's a little bit of a YOLO move. I think he's going to try and get the buff right at the end. He's just trying to, at this point, work down his health, you know, rather than spending all the time balancing those statues. You can be basically doing that the whole fight. At this point, just letting him have the buff, making it a little bit more dangerous, but trying to do a bit more damage without having to run all the way around the arena. But I think we will see him try and knock it down right at the end there if he can time that well.
Like his character just dodged a slam, so that was very scary there. Both guys fighting Izaro at the moment, and it's going to be very close here. Bergerbrush is spending a lot of time kiting those lieutenants, doesn't have the Arctic armor, doesn't have the Herald of Thunder like Uber Elite. A little bit of a disadvantage comparatively.
Yeah, despite that gear, not working out too well for him. Taking a bit of time.
It's also only having elemental hit with Pierce and Siege Ballista not linked up at all, compared to Uber Elite's elemental hit, Pierce, elemental damage with attacks, or would. And then we have Siege Ballista with added cold and lesser multiple projectiles. Uber Elite definitely winning on links.
Yeah, that can be the tough thing, you know, when you're first learning to race there. Uber getting the phase down, nicely done there. But that can be the tough thing to manage, is managing both your stats on your gear, but also trying to prioritize those links and get those support gems at the right time. There's a lot to think about when you're racing.
Absolutely. Bergerbrush doing a very good job of playing safe, getting this down. I think that we'll see him finish. I'm not sure that he'll win the third place spot, but definitely very impressive getting through this race at all.
You know, I think that would be a heroic effort to actually get the Izaro kill in this time with Ellie hit. Pretty tough thing to do.
Looks like Uber Elite goes into the wrong room, realizes it though, and goes back. And we're heading towards the final Phase 3 Izaro. Didn't get a Dark Shrine at all though. Very different from our two duelists.
Yeah, no buffs this time. Certainly no Diamond Shrines like that first run. Ooh, I still can't believe he threw that away. That was brutal.
That Diamond Shrine was epic. Epic. So I believe that Ventrua did finish at, like, I believe 136 or something, and then Windz was 139. On those.
Yeah, a couple minutes in it there, and I think definitely fully secured. I don't think there was any kind of death penalties or anything that changed the standings there.
I don't believe Ventrua had any deaths. I believe Windz had a couple.
Yeah, so that puts him a few minutes extra behind. But at this point, the standings are pretty settled.
Though with 0 deaths, still has a shot to pull this out. Excited that he finished Phase 2. Looking around, I don't see any good links for him on the ground. I think it'd be a real clutch for Link to drop right now on his way to third Phase Izaro. But
that'd be super nice for sure. I mean, at this point, if we saw Uber go down, Berger would take the third position with no deaths or anything.
Yeah, Bergerbrush spending some time dealing with, looks like, new subscriptions, and definitely lots of hype on his channel. Uber finding Phase 3 Izaro finally. Maybe it did find every other room though first.
There we go. I think he got all those conduits. No, it looks like he's got a lightning buff. So gonna add a bit of damage. Makes this last fight here a little bit more intense. Definitely still solid danger of dying to Wind Slash and some fireballs.
Yeah, definitely doesn't look like Bergerbrush is going to be looking for the trinket, which I think is a little bit of a mistake. Dealing with the conduits is a lot of work. As we saw here with Uberly, he did end up leaving one up and is taking a significant portion of damage from that. I think with the lightning damage is also extra scary because you get that shock effect on your character, just taking increased damage, and that instant heal flask though really saving his bacon though over and over again.
Yeah, he's had 3 times already on this fight where he's dropped really low, and that's just eating into his fast charges.
Thankfully, at this point, though, all of the ads that spawn will provide flash charges for him, so he's able to keep those flash charges up and not kill anything extra.
Yeah, with 3 life flasks now, he should be able to maintain those pretty well, even if he's taking a lot of damage and expending them pretty quickly. The flash charges getting spread out helps a lot.
Some issues just making his way through the lab. Definitely the lack of links showing their head right now. He's just having a lot more difficult time dealing with stuff.
Yeah, at this point, killing any of these kind of like creatures in here is going to be real tough. He's opting to skip most of it, which is the wisest choice at this point.
In terms of XP, and wouldn't even unlock a next tier bow for another 2 levels, so hopefully he's not trying to do that. Still, at this point, we are at 2 hours into the race. Everybody has made it to the lab. Everybody's working on it. And so definitely faster than I expected.
Yeah, we'll see this through to the end, though. Berger getting a little bit lost there, does the full loop and arrives back where he started, realizing that he missed the exit somewhere along the road, so heads off to the right instead.
You end up doing elemental hit. Are you going to go with this ranger strategy or maybe the duelist?
Now, after seeing the duelist in action, definitely going to be going some melee splash of some description, for sure. Duelist seems like the natural choice.
Although I would like to see maybe an infernal blow race, because that skill just has so much potential, looks really great. It's like kind of like having a herald device with the shatter, but it's all its own skill.
I'm looking forward to that one for sure. That one's going to be so juicy.
Seems to be lost in the labyrinth, not having the lab notes, maybe not as familiar with the lab layouts. Uberly really just taking his time, playing it safe.
Both into the final aspirants trial now, though. Good stuff.
I do believe Berger's on phase 2, actually.
Oh, wait. Whoops. My bad. Yeah, at this point, we're going to need to see a death from Uber, then.
Conduits, and he does have all 3 conduits up, so it's going to be a little scary because he did not find that cube of absorption, even though he was wandering around the previous room a lot.
Almost a full clear of that previous room, but still didn't find one. Unfortunate. I'm cheering for a finish here on Berger, though, for sure.
I'm definitely cheering for Berger. Hopefully he's able to get a finish here. 2 hours, elemental hit, very impressive. And we definitely have racers who haven't been able to complete the lab, despite having better skills.
It's an impressive feat either way, for sure.
Very close to the end here. Wishing he had brought Cole. He's got all of the links to use it, but doesn't have it in his setup. But getting very close, and hopefully he doesn't choke at the very last second.
Yeah, whenever you decide to not get Culling Strike, you always get to this point where it's like on the last bit of health forever, and you're like, should have got that call. And he's right there right now.
There it is. Uberly, rank 3 here in this race. With some easy claps in the chat at the time of 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 55 seconds.
GG, easy clap.
Easy clap indeed. Definitely Bergerbrush doing very well, though, kiting around the room, dealing with all of the conduits, doing lots of damage. No Arctic armor, so he's a little bit at a disadvantage compared to Uber Elite. At this point, you almost don't even want the Quicksilver Flask, and that the Arctic armor would have really helped out instead. Uber Elite's final death count?
I think that was 3? Possibly 4.
Yeah, it might have been 4. Berger's got great gear, and despite having no links, is not having too much trouble in here. So I think he should be able to finish up this labyrinth.
I mean, the gear that he's got is basically an extra link, so he's kind of running around with a 3-link here.
Yeah, he does have some amazing gear. That bow, that quiver, the brisk wrap for the movement, the Wanderlust boots. The interviews here starting soon.
Yeah, we can probably get some of these guys in here while we watch Berger finish up the race. The background action. I like the plan.
Bergerbrush kiting around in circles. Conduits keep popping up. I bet he's really wishing right now that he had gotten that second trinket for these conduits.
Yeah, really tough when you have such a kind of a slow time killing. Dealing with those 3 all at once is brutal. You feel like you get no chance to do damage before you have to start clicking them again.
At least Uberly did have like the LMP on his totem, so he was like seemingly doing a lot of damage with that, like really splashing the damage all around.
Helps a lot with maintaining those fast charges before, which we're seeing being a little bit trickier for Berger.
Is there like a bad piece of gear that Berger has? I guess his hat is like a white hat, but that's about it. Like everything
he's got
else.
that 7 evasion, like tier 1 basic starter cap there. That's the only thing kind of letting him down a little bit here. Nonetheless, I did see him invade a wind slash, and it could have been due to that hat. You know, that little bit of extra evasion could have helped.
Yeah, but the hat that's like the terrible hat is the only thing that has links.
I just see.
His blink arrow is linked to elemental damage with attacks. So maybe if you switch Siege Ballista in there, that might help him out a little bit.
Always scan
He's
this
got
section.
tons of rare gear, 2 rare rings, rare belt, rare necklace, unique boots and chest, rare bow and quiver, and a lightning damage and cold res gloves. So very solid gear.
Well kitted up for sure. Come on, Berger, you can do it, buddy. I believe.
Dragging on here.
This, my friends, is the glory of Elemental Hit. You asked for this, and you got it.
Well, with this showing though, like I think if he can make it to phase 3, it'll be really easy for him. But the skeleton like pack in the middle just keeps growing. It feels like he doesn't really have good AOE clear. He doesn't have LMP on his totem, so he's gonna get in trouble. Oh no!
Ooh, gets it with
no.
2 buffs.
That's
gonna make things very tricky.
2 up for Bergerbrush. Maybe he'll find a Dark Shrine here. I think he needs a Dark Shrine. We're coming in here, the winner of this race.
Yeah, we'll get a little bit of a debrief with Ventrua while we watch that epic final fight from Bergerbrush.
Oh, hey guys.
Hey, Ventrua, congrats, man. Nicely done. How did you feel about the choice of Elemental Hit in this race?
I mean, it was kind of expected when the poll was posted.
For sure. Did you have?
So
did
you looked at that poll and you were like, Elemental Hit is an option. That's what I'm going to have to use.
Yeah, there was like some people that were saying Glacier Hammer could be it, but not really.
How did you feel practicing for Ellie Hit? Did you feel like you had a pretty solid shot at winning this one?
Yeah, I felt pretty confident, but I heard that Windz got like a 4-link and Diamond Shrine, and he would have beat me if he didn't die. But otherwise, I felt pretty confident because DC Lara made me do a practice run before the race, and like it went pretty well.
We did see you honoring her. Yeah, do you think that made the big difference there?
Yeah, I think so.
You would have lost this race without her, is what you're saying.
Normally don't use.
So you would have lost this race without her help then, right?
Yeah, probably.
Excellent.
That practice run, you got into Labyrinth at 1 hour 20, and you did that almost exact same time again, so it seemed to run pretty smoothly for you. Do you feel like there was any kind of like issues in the race or any problems that you had to deal with?
I forgot to pick Kraken Amulet up, so I had to rerun the zone, which cost me like 2 minutes. And I didn't get my 3-link until Act 3. I had to use like 2 red, and I couldn't use Onslaught until Act 3. Just like kinda annoying, but at least I had some damage, so it was fine.
Your gear ended up being
Really
pretty
helped you
nice
out.
there. How did you kind of feel that all panned out?
Gear was average, I would say. I got some life rolls on my stuff, which like helped me a lot.
How did you kind of arrive at the choice to go with the melee splash action? Because I was expecting to see a bit more ranger action, but definitely after seeing the melee splash, it worked a lot better on that AoE clear.
I thought that the bow shit would be like super bad, but when I saw Uber do a practice run, it actually looked pretty good. But I just couldn't imagine it on Izaro, so that's why I still went with the melee guy, because I was like confident that I can just use totem to kill Izaro.
That said, we did see a lot of kind of dancing around in that Izaro phase, especially the portals was particularly brutal. You really had to rely on that totem a lot, and it was a bit slow. You got the melee splash on the Ancestral Protector, right?
Yeah, there's like no other way to do it, I think, because if you try to melee hit Izaro with like actual melee skill, you just get fucking wrecked. Like,
yeah, we
like
definitely
he
saw
auto
that.
attacks for like 300, and like it's impossible to tank it.
Yeah, it was definitely a tough fight. It was like a really long, drawn-out kind of first phase there. We are actually watching you and Windz almost around the same point, and Windz got a diamond shrine, and it was like he got into that first phase after you, and then ended up dying a little bit later. So it was kind of threw that away.
Yeah, I heard he had
really
a
helped
4
out.
as well, so he would have definitely beat me on time.
Yeah, but that consistency, you know, lots of dancing around, you played it pretty safe, and it seemed to work out for you in the end.
Yeah, I feel like it's better to play it safe because there's no way you are gonna Zerk Izaro anyway, so just run around for a bit and better than dying.
Worked out well for you. What are you going to do with the title of being the master of elemental hit, like the best elemental hit player in the universe?
Not sure, probably publish a Reddit guide, collect
Oh, I
the
like
feed
it.
karma.
A Reddit
Yep.
guide probably will get you a lot of karma, probably at least 5 or 6 upvotes. Probably really, really helpful. I know Reddit really loves those type of guides.
I have to do it quickly though, because D&D said that he will do a world record on elemental hit soon.
Well,
I
yeah,
don't know.
definitely get that karma first. Got to get in there nice and quick. I look forward to reading that post.
Question about your buffs. I noticed that you decided to go with Herald of Ash, and that's it. What was kind of your strategy behind that?
When I did the practice run, I realized there is actually no reason to scale the elemental portion of elemental hit, and then I just basically scaled the melee damage. And if I went with Hatred as well, I would just have problem with mana, so I wouldn't be able to leap around.
So basically acknowledging that elemental hit is basically a default attack and just not completely ignoring it.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
a
it.
default attack that costs a lot of mana. Like, that's it.
Did you have any thoughts of using like Arctic armor?
No, but I probably should have. That's actually a good idea.
Melee, like taking less damage from both fire and physical and standing still sounds like, oh my gosh, Bergerbrush almost dying twice on Izaro here, getting very, very, very low.
He's going to make it, I believe.
I believe of the elemental hit. Doesn't have calling strike though. So what are your thoughts though on like having this, like if you did this race again, what types of things would you change?
I'm not sure. Probably nothing really.
Not much more you can do to make Ellie hit a lot stronger. Yep. What are you hoping to see as like a community choice skill race in the future?
I think Ground Slam would be kinda fun because at least it's AoE, but it's still bad. But probably better than like Glacial Hammer or stuff like that because level 1 to 8 would be so annoying on that.
About
Yeah, fair
Infernal
call.
Blow.
That would be fine as well, I think.
Like Infernal
Voting
Blow
for Infernal Blow.
could be really interesting in Izaro because you do end up with all these skeletons around him that you can pop to kill Izaro. So it could be really cool.
Yeah, I can see Infernal Blow being like decent compared to like Elahit or Glacial Hammer.
Congrats on the win again,
Tier 0
Ventrua.
skill.
Enjoy wearing that crown. I bet the crown of Ellie Hit Champion is going to be weigh heavily on your head.
Definitely congratulations and a very good job. And we're looking forward to seeing you in future races.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was actually kind of fun even though it was Elahit.
Good stuff. You put in a good showing, so thanks, mate.
I get Windz in here next.
Seeing Bergerbrush go very low a few times in this fight, but Izaro almost down. What an absolute legend.
Yeah, number one legend in, I believe he's in Norway. I can't remember exactly. He's doing a very good job clearing out everything, just playing very safely. Even with only 2 life flasks, he is not having too much trouble. He's doing a very good job of dodging all of the wind slashes, a lot of the other skills that are coming out of Izaro, and just doing a very good job, like just playing very safely, but very consistently. And I believe that's gonna, get him the win here.
He's gonna get it. Go, Burger!
Go.
Burger. Oi. You guys here? Sorry.
Hey,
Windz.
Yeah, sorry, I was in the washroom.
G'day, mate. Congrats on
your
second
place. Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys.
Looks like Bergerbrush does get the kill here. 4th place. I believe that was a finish of like 2 hours and maybe 10 minutes. I can't see. There's no timer. So it's some easy claps for
solid.
Burger.
Let's get some easy claps in chat for sure. Windz, mate. The big upset was that losing that diamond shrine. How did you feel?
That diamond shrine was the only way I could have probably caught it. I'm not sure how behind I was or not. I wasn't really keeping track with the race or where other people were, but diamond shrine basically made me able to kill the portals fast, Izaro fast, especially because totems are doing most of the damage. But then I got stuck, and I tried to leaf slam out, and I leaf slammed to a wall, then I got sundered. I only have 200 HP, right, or something? Yeah, it was really yellow.
Yeah, your HP was really low, and you're pushing really hard with that diamond shrine. You were actually just behind Ventrua, and then you went into that phase after him and just shredded Izaro with that diamond shrine, and you were in the lead, had the win, and then lost it. It was brutal.
I didn't know I was gonna. I didn't know I was ahead or not, because if I was ahead, I could maybe done a bit more casual or like more safe. I mean.
Yeah, it can be difficult to know where you don't know where they are. Kind of pushing as hard as you can.
Yeah, I went in like a level 23.8 or something. I thought I would level up at the first room, 24 to use the 24 flask, but I didn't get those flasks actually at all, even in phase 2. So I was using a level 8 flask, so that may have costed me. I could have just spent one more instant docs and got 24. Then went into Izaro.
We definitely saw the flask playing a big role for people there. People that didn't have the good flask suffering a lot more in the Izaro fights, and it seems like that played a big role. How did you we noticed, I think you had another quick death pretty quickly after that first one, the diamond shrine, on tilt a little bit, or just a bit unlucky?
I was trying to rush again, and before the lab resets, and I got stuck by the dischargers, or I got or something, died. Yeah, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal.
Yeah, and then I tried to get in again into the lab before it reset. I went in at 7:59. It resets 8 times here, and I got Lieutenant, which was not the phase before that, so that was weird. I went in before the time, but it reset it still.
Yeah, watching on my screen, it definitely was very close. You were definitely like, I believe, right on the edge where it resets. Sometimes it can reset a little bit early. Sometimes it can reset a little bit late.
Oh yeah, right. I had to open it, not enter. I had to open the instance at the very end.
So it can be very close. What types of practice did you do for this race? Like, did you know it was gonna be elemental hit, or assume?
I was thinking elemental hit, to be honest, but I was thinking also glacial hammer, but I didn't really do any planning ahead of time or any practice. I thought maybe if we do LE hit, it would be like a kind of range, like a wand or bow. But then I saw Ventrua do melee with Thunder, and they told me he got like 120 enter lap time. I'm like, that's pretty good then. Basically a Thunder build, or Thunder concept, but it's just melee hit with splash. Or LE hit.
Not quite as good as the old Thunder action.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy the Elliot action? How was it?
Oh man, that was until you get melee splash, it was so brutal. Even with melee splash, it was brutal. Like the name locking, it was terrible because for Sunder you want to have you want shift and then you want sorry, not Sunder, leap slam. You want to do shift leap slam too, so you don't run around before you leap slam. But with name lock skill, if you're holding shift or attack in place, then you are not hitting monsters sometimes because you're not monster. So you have to like balance the two around. So
right, yeah, really tough.
as well. Yeah.
Was there any skill on the poll that you were really hoping that the community would pick that would be extra fun?
I think ground slam could have been actually pretty decent. Good old ground slam.
Ground slam.
Yeah, ground slam.
Innate AoE.
Yeah, exactly. Just putting a melee splash on something without a twink item like Tabula, it just feels really bad. Like if you had a Tabula Rasa, let's say everyone gets Tabula Rasa and an Ellie hit, maybe that could have actually been okay. But the fact that you have to sacrifice, another link for a splash to make it into AoE skill kind of takes away that skill from being fun.
So you didn't do any practice for this race. I know Ventrua did have a little bit of assistance there from D-Clara1. Was there any sort of like mentor or someone that you were like talking to?
Oh no,
with elemental
hit?
No,
not at all. I was like, I'm playing like other games right now, not PoE, and then like.
And do you believe that like your Cho'Gath gameplay in League of Legends has been helping you out to like really eat up the lab, or
actually, yes, the MOBA skills are kind of handy when you have to land a monster for your Ellie hit pierce. You want to maximize the amount of monsters you hit and ledge, for example, right, with the pierce and Ellie hit bow. So it reminded me of that in terms of DSing and MOBA games, but yeah, definitely had to practice Ellie hit. I didn't even really realize what I need in an Ellie hit race.
So what would you change like moving forward if you had to do this race over again?
I'll probably focus on getting 24 and staying more. I was at 21 or 22 when I finished all the trials and I was lab ready. But I had to go back to docks and farms next. I probably would have gone calling strike, and then I probably have focused more on my war chi totem instead of Ellie hitting myself. Like second time around or third time, war chi totem was doing a lot of the work. I was trying to Ellie hit more in the first time, but then I should just run around Izaro while my totem deals with it. Because I could not tank Izaro with Bergerbrush at all.
So you think that Ancestral Protector maybe in the future should be banned?
Yeah, I was actually surprised when I thought this was supposed to be the main skill, like Ellie hit and Clash of Hammer. I wasn't sure if utility skills were allowed or not, so I asked, and then they say utility skills are allowed. And I'm just like, it's probably gonna be War Chief Totem meta or like both majority. And they said like it could be a fun skill, it's nothing not serious, great, so fair. But yeah, I feel like if you do Ellie hit only as your main skill, like only skill you could use for types of damage, I feel like we're gonna have like over like 2 hours pretty much. Izaro kills.
What do you think that you might end up seeing things like a ranged attack totem or something like that?
Yeah, range. I was actually trying to do a mine playstyle, Ellie hit mine. You need Pierce to work, so you need Minefield, Mines, and Ellie hit. You kind of need Pierce or LMP at least, so you kind of need more links. But I was trying to make it work, but leveling with it was really cool. But in terms of killing Izaro himself, I think it's viable. Like it's.
You might be interested in what I'm hearing in a Tabula Rasa elemental hit only skill.
Yeah, pretty much. Then you could do dual totems, no problem. You could do rat totems, mines. What else? Trap. A bunch of options to support it with.
Interested in doing that race?
Yeah, I'm interested for sure.
Excellent.
I'm all about the meme races and the meme builds. I love it.
Were you hoping to somehow like get Magma Orb involved in this race? Like, I know she didn't use it at all, and did that make you feel bad?
Oh, Magma Orb? Kinda, but Magma you kind of need a Threshold Jewel, so if that's a Threshold Jewel race, I would love to join that. Last time I think it was a streamer only, so I couldn't join it, but if there was open one, I would definitely try to.
I'm gonna need to have a camera for that streamer race because we have to make sure that you're not a robot. But Congratulations once again on your second place finish. That was a very good showing, and elemental hit definitely. Is this a build that you're thinking about building for yourself? Like, just take to maps.
Yeah, I'm thinking of maybe doing the 1 week or 2 race coming up. Definitely pushing ladder with that. Hoping for Demi.
Oh god, the memes are too strong. Great job, Windz. You put in a good showing, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's see if we can get Uber in here then for a bit of a chat.
All right, thank you guys for having me.
Thanks, Windz.
Do you think we'd be an extra special demigods if you win it with elemental hit?
Oh, for sure. You should stay Ellie hit main skill on Demi.
We do have Uber in here now. Uber, can you hear us?
Yep.
And congratulations on your third place.
Thank you.
Good job, man. Tough
Yeah.
race. How did you go with the? How did you feel about the choice of Ellie hit for this one?
Oh, it was fine. I'm kind of like both surprised and not surprised that that melee ended up kind of winning out in killing Izaro first.
So we heard before the race that you had wanted to ban the totem that you were end up using. What were your thoughts on that, and like that fact that you got to use it throughout the race?
It was kind of like one of those, like, it just clears faster than Elliot does. And so if you go bow, you can just drop the totem and clear stuff. I almost like felt bad, and I feel like I could have just like used that most of the way through for clearing for XP, but ended up switching to Ellie hit because
I do approve of you trying to maintain the purity of the Ellie hit race. I think that is important, Uber. So I did sense a certain kind of grudgingness when you were using the totem. Nonetheless, the LMP totem did seem to help quite a bit.
yeah, definitely helped in Izaro because like I just basically used it for killing ads and getting flash charges and a little bit of extra damage.
Was there
Seemed
any
like
skill?
But
Oh, yeah.
you're good. Go ahead.
Was there any skill on that pole that, like, when you like looked at that pole, were you like, this is going to be an elemental hit race?
Looking at that poll, yeah. I mean, I was kind of like a late kind of recruit to this race, so I'd already voted, and I was like, yeah, this is probably gonna be Ellie hit. I might as well vote for it. And
Damn it.
So you're part of the problem.
then I got into the race, and Nugi's like, "Oh, hey, we need one more for the race. Are you down for it?" I'm like, "All right, I guess."
Shot yourself in the foot with an elemental shot. Well played, well played.
Skill on that list that you would prefer to use?
Probably ground slam, if anything.
3
Ground
votes for ground slam.
slam.
3 votes for ground slam. I'm all for that Infernal Blow action.
Oh, Infernal Blow's a fun skill, so yeah.
And
Like
we can
all
see
the
that
others
both
would be-
those.
All the others would have been fine, but you know how Reddit and Twitch chat is. They like to make people suffer.
And suffer you did. How was those how was those Izaro fights, man? Some pretty long brutal ones there.
Yeah, I kind of screwed up on the first one. I told myself twice before going into the fight, I need to get a 3rd life flask before I actually go into Izaro, and I still forgot it. So that made it really tough, and I should have gotten it on the first try, but I screwed up, and only having 2 life flasks killed me in the end.
How do you feel about kind of like the choice to go range? Would you change to the melee setup if you were forced to do this again? If you were like chained into a basement and forced to play another elemental hit race?
I mean, if I really, really want to win, yes, but like if I want to keep somewhat of my sanity, not really. I never was a melee racer in the first place. I always raced either like some sort of ranged or some sort of caster. I never raced melee, so.
So is there anything that you would have changed about your strategy in order to pull ahead?
I mean, I think when it comes down to it, melee just wins. And I don't know what else I could have done differently. I did make a lot of mistakes, and just not making those mistakes would have helped a ton.
So
Also, finding move speed would have been really nice.
Move speed, very important. I noticed that you did go for the move speed passives. I believe you had Arctic Armor there at the end there too.
Yeah, that was because I had to find I had to find a way to fix my fire res. I only had 30 fire res, and I couldn't change like any of my rings or anything. So, and there was no other way for me to get fire res. So I'm like, well, I'm not using Blood Rage because like my totem's killing everything. So I'm just gonna go Arctic Armor.
I think the Arctic Armor does help a lot, especially like when you get into that new lab that had lieutenants.
Oh yeah.
Did you think the second lab that you had to do, the new one, was easier or harder?
Infinitely easier. It was portals versus lieutenants, and lieutenants is way easier. I was saying before the race, I think if we get gargoyles, like anybody that doesn't finish on the first lab would not be able to finish. Gargoyles are just way too ridiculous to try and deal with.
Something I saw that when you're going through the second lab, the new one, that you weren't picking up trinkets. Was that simply because you didn't know where they were located, because like PoLab hadn't updated, or just like you didn't think you needed that with that setup?
I didn't know what the setup was, and I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go and try and finish. I didn't really like try to search for the trinkets or anything. And I wasn't getting like any updates on where other people were, like what position I was in.
Chat.
So, yeah.
Uber Elite, do appreciate you.
Thanks for making it a fun race, man.
Not a problem.
Appreciate it. Good work.
Glad to have joined. Hopefully I can do better tomorrow.
Sure. I believe next up is Bergerbrush, if he's done dancing in stream.
Yeah, he's currently having a good dance, a bit of a party, celebrating his Izaro kill.
What's going on here?
Hey, Bergerbrush. Congrats, man. You got that Izaro kill at the end there.
Yeah, I guess I did.
Well played, well played. How did you enjoy the Ellie hit race?
I don't know, man. I gotta be honest with you. I have never ever played that skill ever.
With good reason.
Yeah, I'm any of the skills that were in the Stropple from the beginning, I've never played any of them. I'm still sort of new to the game, you know, and everything. And I wasn't prepared to join the race today either. I thought Havoc found someone else, and I was going to be with the replacement. So 5 minutes before he joins my channel, like, dude, Burger, it's about to go down. You got to get in.
We didn't have any time to practice, and you still did very well.
I don't know.
You've been playing Path of Exile.
I don't know if I did really well, but I did my best. I try to meme it up, you know, as much as I can as well. You know, just have fun. But I also want to do, you know, some good gameplay. But I guess we got a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
You seem like you had the most fun with it out of any of the players. We saw lots of full screen dancing, lots of memes. The density of memes in your channel was very good throughout the race. So good work on that. And I mean, finishing and actually killing Izaro with Ellie hit is an achievement in itself, man. So good work.
Yeah. Someone told me in the channel as well that I was the only one who had like a 2-link only. I had two links, so I don't know how he even managed to kill him. But I was really lucky with RNG early on. Wanderlust, and then like another unique armor or something. Like a lot of RNG.
Only had Pierce on your elemental hit, and Siege Ballista was standing by itself because your elemental damage with attacks was on your blink arrow, actually.
Oh, so, well.
Definitely lots of luck in terms of uniques, not lots of luck in terms of links Did you consider like maybe like swapping out your gloves or maybe your hat for something else that might have had more links?
Yeah, like in Act 3, that was the only thing I was searching for everywhere. A 3-link, a 4-link in my gloves or helmet or anything, anywhere. I even tried like using all the chromes that I have on my boots and anything, and I just had no luck on that department, you know, but I mean, like getting Wanderlust and shit like that, I already had enough RNG, to be honest.
Is there anything you'd do differently now that you've had a bit of practice with the elemental hit action? Were you forced to do another one of these races? How would you change your strats?
First of all, I would like to practice. I've only done one race, and I practiced twice before that. So coming into this race, non-practice at all, and not knowing the skill, I didn't even know what character to play, what character can use the gem. I didn't know what skill tree to make. I'm like really new and bad to make skill trees, so I just clicked skills as I went on levels. Like halfway through, I was realizing that I needed more life.
Did pretty well despite that, man, getting it done. So well played, well played.
Finishing the race, not an easy race to finish with, elemental hit. We definitely had better racers with better skills do a lot worse. So very impressive.
Thank you very much, man. And yeah, I just try to meme it up and have fun as well, and try to do my best when it comes to this stuff. And yeah, when it comes to the memes, I think I got like 30 OBS hotkeys where I just have different stuff coming up all the time. So I didn't meme it up enough. I felt like I had so many things more that I should have clicked, but I was so nervous and thinking about actually, trying to perform in the race as well. So wasn't enough on the meme department, I think, as well.
Bit more practice, you could put that down as well.
It is very important. Thank you very much, Burger. We do appreciate you. Congratulations on your finish. 4th place, still very impressive, because that is not an easy race to complete.
Yeah, thank you guys as well for everything, and once again, thanks Havoc for doing this. He has helped me so much with my channel and my path to partnership, I would say, and you guys are all freaking awesome. One of the best things of me switching to Path of Exile as my main game is how freaking awesome this community is and all the streamers. I've never ever seen anything like this in any other game. It's just amazing, to be honest.
Awesome to hear, man. Yeah, thanks for joining us in the PoE community.
Yeah, and in the future, I want to do better on the racing department, though. I feel like I let people down. Like, when you invite racers, they should play better than what I did. I feel like I must have practiced, and that's what I'm going to do next time as well. I'm going to come more prepared.
You got this, man. Keep working on it.
Forward to seeing you do some more races in the future. Maybe with a different elemental hit setup with Tabula Rasa or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Please no. Well done.
Do that race with the Tabula. So.
Don, thank you for being my co-commentator for this race, man. Certainly an interesting one. I feel like we've gotten the Ellie hit out of our system, hopefully. Look forward to seeing some other choices in the community choices in the future.
Definitely. Thank you very much for casting with me. That was a lot of fun. Even if we did have probably the worst skill possible, we did have a lot of fun with this race. And it was very impressive seeing all of the racers complete the race. So a lot. So everybody did a really great job.
Great, and thanks Havoc for having me on the channel again. Appreciate it, mate.
Havoc, I believe Havoc's going to come up next and talk about the races we have coming up for tomorrow.
Yep, no problem, Don and Z. Thanks again for casting. It was awesome. So yeah, coming up tomorrow, we have 2 races. Starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, we will have a 2 vs 2 pro event, a race to normal Izaro. Team 1 will be composed of Zazarian and Raise QT. Team 2 will be composed of Freak and Dead and Doom. So, Freak has the record for the most deaths in a single race. Is he going to be the sandbag, or like the like the prisoners that like the chain like on their leg and stuff, like the 20-pound weight? So it's going to be interesting to see how that race goes. Then after that event, we have a very special event. It's called the Wheel. Essentially, every 10 minutes, the players have to change their skills. And we have melee skills, bow skills, and spells in there, so it's going to be interesting. It's also a race to Izaro, and they'll be giving a tabula. I don't even know how long it's gonna take them to finish. It's like how do you spec one way and then go another way, like caster to bow to melee? It's like, yeah, it's weird. It's gonna be exciting. Yeah, stay tuned for that, guys. Thanks again for joining us. Thanks again, Ziggy and Don. We will see you guys tomorrow.